Normally, I say hi, everybody, but today I'm saying hi to nobody because this is a last minute live chat that hopefully will only last a few minutes. No, I'm kidding. Hi to anybody who's joining. So I'm just doing this live chat to discuss some of these PowerPoint slides that I've come up with over the past few weeks about this drama between the defense team and Judge Gull. Hi, Charmaine. Hi, Doodle. Hi, Girly. Hi, CCK. I know it's the holidays, and happy holidays to anybody who celebrates whichever holiday you celebrate. Before I start, as always, let's just remember Abby and Libby and their families, and hopefully there's a resolution coming at some point. So some people might know about this Abby and Libby Memorial Park. I saw that they were doing some kind of fundraiser in the past few weeks. It actually ended on the 15th. But for some of you who might want to donate, it's abbyandlibbymemorialpark.org. I bought two of these pavers, which is pretty much it's the softball park, and I guess they're putting some kind of, I don't know, a walkway down or something. So they were selling these for $75 or $100. So I bought two of them, and I asked some of my subscribers to suggest some phrases to do. I forget which I did, but in case anybody wants to donate to this, here is the link up here. I'll try to remember to put it in the description after this live chat ends in 6 hours. Chat overview. Not all this pertains to this one. Like I said, this is just a random live chat. Some people got upset that I refer to Judge Gull as her last name, just Gull. And some people get upset that I call Richard Allen Rick. I might start trying to refer to people only by their last names, but I don't know. It's going to be weird calling Rick Allen just Allen. And people are going to be like, who the hell are you talking about? So here is my list of agenda. I have a monthly live chat every Saturday, or no, the third Saturday of every month. And so this is just some PowerPoint slides that we reviewed 2 days ago. The order pretty much is Allen's transfer to Wabash Prison, Supreme Court, they have this hearing on January 18th, timeline of defense removal, Gull's reasons for defense removal, court filings, defense leaks, and defense lies. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to review these. I see some people are in the chat, so I don't know. At some point, I'll get to your comments. All right, I'm already, how many minutes behind? Only 3 minutes behind. So there's been this huge debate about should Rick be in a county jail or prison? Should he be in segregation, or should he be in a general population where he could be prone to being beat up or murdered by other crazy inmates? So finally, he got moved to Wabash Prison, I don't know, maybe earlier this month. And so this is just something that I had sent to the Cass County Jail, which is where Rosie wanted Rick to go to, since it was just right across the street from Rosie's office. So the sheriff replied to me because I wanted to know like what kind of medical and mental health services they provide at these jails, because obviously Rick seems to have some kind of mental, I don't want to say he has mental issues, but people, including his defense team, has said, well, he called his wife on April 3rd because he was having some kind of mental health issue or episode or whatever. So Cass County Detention Center has a medical doctor visit 1 time per week. We have several mental health programs with intermittent schedules. We do not have a full-time psychologist slash psychiatrist on staff. And the bottom right there was from one of the, I guess, prosecution filings where John Gallipo, the warden of Westville Prison, said number 14, that the defendant is regularly seen by medical personnel and mental health counselors to assess his health and well-being. So I got this from the Wikipedia for Wabash Prison. And just so you know, people are kind of complaining that the Wabash Prison is kind of far away, and I agree about that, from Rick and where his lawyers and the Allen County Courthouse, which is 3.5 hours from the new location where Rick is being housed at. So he's at Wabash Valley Correctional Facility, which is where Kegan Kline is. Also, Brian Chadwell is there. I'm sure you guys remember him as one of the suspects. So this middle part here, let me zoom in. It just reviews like the mental health stuff. So they have a special needs unit. The SNU is a mental health treatment unit designed to house seriously mentally ill offenders who have been designated as needing intensive mental health treatment and programming within the Indiana Department of Correction. Offender participants may be transferred into the unit from any other facility in the state. When participants arrive, they are assessed and placed in the program's phase system. Phase 3 offenders attend all programming and meals within the unit, but do attend recreation in the gym. Phase 4 offenders additionally go outside of the unit for special programs and meals. Phase 5 offenders can attend programming outside the unit and attend meals and recreation with whatever these other things are talking about. So I don't know what to think. I just don't think that Rick can be in Carroll County Jail in general population. Somebody made a good point, because I mean, I'm concerned that a 5'4" most notorious prisoner or inmate in Indiana right now is Rick. So can he really be in general population where some crazy person who has like aggression issues might try to, beat him up or kill him? Somebody made a good point saying, well, somebody who's in a county jail for like a drunk driving thing is not going to add a murder charge by killing Rick Allen. So I thought that was a good point. However, I just don't think that he can really be amongst prisoners, because it's just the risk is too great. So hopefully he is not being guarded by Odinites, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. So what do we have here? I have here, it says December updates. So the hearing on January 18th at 11 a.m. is going to be, the Indiana Supreme Court will hear oral arguments about whether Gull should be removed and Baldwin and Rosie should be reinstated, or at least be entitled to a hearing. I do think that they should have at least gotten a hearing. Oral arguments are for instances when it is more helpful to discuss in person than to submit in writing. And the Indiana Supreme Court justices will ask questions of the attorneys representing Gull and Baldwin and Rosie. The argument will be 60 minutes, equally divided between relator, which is going to be this attorney, Mark Lehman, on behalf of Allen, and the parties opposing the writ, which is the state and Gull's attorney. The Indiana Public Defender Council, amicus curiae, I think is pronounced. It's Latin for friend of the court, may also speak. I know that the Public Defender Council submitted some kind of filing at some point. Allen's attorney will likely reserve part of his time for a final response. It will require a majority of the 5 justices on the Supreme Court of Indiana, and may take several weeks for a decision or written opinion, which will also affect Indiana courts in future instances of trying to remove a judge or attorney. So this is a pretty big case or hearing and decision. This is a timeline of the defense removal. So on October 4th, on a phone call, Baldwin and Rosie told Gull they intended to file for a speedy trial, even though trial was set for January 2024. And they never actually filed this request. October 6th, Rosie emailed Gull, McClelland, and Baldwin with the subject, quote, leaked info. Possibility that crime scene photos leaked. The F-tree photo is already public. Just learned of it in the last hour. And Rosie called McClelland, who said he knew about it for the past 24 to 30 hours. Sorry, I'm really cold and I'm like shivering here, so whatever. You'll see my background in a second. October 8th, Gull replied and was disturbed. She wanted an update on the investigation. She recalled back in December 2022, when they communicated about Baldwin's email to Brandon Woodhouse with evidence. I noticed that this went against her saying in October 19th chambers that the court/she did not know until May 2023. I'll show a screenshot in a second. October 9th, around 4 p.m., Mitch Westerman told Baldwin what he did about going into the conference room and taking photos of the crime scene photos. At 4:48, Baldwin emailed Rosie. Rosie was busy that night, so he did not read email. October 10th, Rosie opened the email, and there was a conference call with the 4 of them, and Andrew Baldwin said Westerman went in the conference room in August and leaked photos to this guy with the initials RF, who later committed suicide the following day on October 11th. And this was the first time that disqualification was first mentioned on any kind of call, I guess, between McClelland, Gull, Baldwin, and Rosie. So the next day, October 11th, Allen wrote to Gull stating Rosie told him McClelland requested Baldwin and Rosie be disqualified. Allen did not want them to be removed. October 12th at 4:07 a.m., McClelland replied that this guy, RF, committed suicide. So a few hours later, Gull read the email and replied, quote, "This is beyond tragic. Once again, I'm at a loss for words." So apparently she was at a loss for words previously with, I guess, the defense team. "I'm deeply concerned that Mr. Allen's defense is being compromised by all these recent events. I will have my staff schedule a hearing in Fort Wayne for next Thursday, October 19th at 2 p.m. to discuss these recent developments and the upcoming hearing on October 31st. Mr. Rosie and Mr. Baldwin, please cease work on Mr. Allen's case until we meet on the 19th, end quote. So a few days later, on October 17th, Rosie emailed Gull to request a meeting about what would be discussed in court on the 19th, which I don't think she ever replied. And I can understand that Rosie wanted some more clarification. And it seems like they were not given proper notice about, I guess, all these different police officers were going to show up and testify about the photo leaks and possibly some other stuff. So this huge issue happened on October 19th. In Gull's office before the public hearing, I guess around 12:30, she had them come in. And Gull told the defense hold on, a message. Wait. Oh my gosh. Hi to the person who just texted me. Gull told the defense she was concerned they were grossly negligent and incompetent, and they could resign or go into the courtroom to hear from the state's witnesses regarding the leak of photos of Abby and Libby's bodies and hear Gull disqualify them. Baldwin said he resigned, and Rosie said he would resign in writing. He later admitted he did not intend to do this. And thank you to the person who just said that message. Everyone's like, who's the person and what did they say? None of your business. All right, next, let me look at the screen to make sure you guys can see this. What do we have here? So on the top left, it says, I think this is Judge Gull. And then, I mean, that brings us to my concerns that I had that I raised with all of you on our phone call. So this is from the October 19th in chambers discussion or beatdown. And I write everything out. And this is what I intend to say in open court. I have concerns regarding the defense team and the totality of the circumstances surrounding your representation of Mr. Allen. Candidly, my concerns began at our hearing on November 22nd of 2022. Mr. McClelland filed a motion for gag order, and we were in chambers, and you assured me, gentlemen, quote, "We don't want the media in our lives. We will not try," I don't know what that said, but then obviously within a few days, they released that press release. So that was one of the issues that Gull had with the defense team, because they said they pretty much knew that she was going to issue the gag order. So they kind of got this press release out before she did that. And the defense said, well, the prosecution and the state have had all these press conferences to say their side, so we should have our opportunity too. So I wrote up here, October 10th phone call was when she listed her concerns. So on October 25th, about a week later, Rosie filed to remove Gull as the judge and for himself to continue as Allen's attorney. October 27th, Gull appointed two new public defenders, William Labrato and Robert Scremin. October 30th, Baldwin and Rosie filed to appear as Allen's private counsel pro bono, which would have been at their own cost. So there's another hearing on October 31st. Gull said she could not allow Baldwin and Rosie to represent Allen due to their gross negligence. Just people who are counting, we're on slide 11. I have 30 slides, so I can kind of see the chat going by. I'll get to it hopefully soon. I don't know. Let me take a drink. Yeah, I'm just going to review all these PowerPoint slides, and then we'll argue in the live chat. So I have these few slides, Gull's reasons for defense removal. This list that I made is combined points from Gull's filings, the October 19th chamber meeting, and the Indiana Attorney General's filing stating reasons the defense is grossly negligent and incompetent. So back to a year prior, November 29th, 2022, in their press release, defense made extrajudicial statements that had a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing the case and potentially violated Professional Conduct Rule 3.6. After stating they would not talk about the case publicly, they issued the press release knowing Gull would likely soon issue a gag order. So also December 2022 and August 2023, the defense failed to safeguard evidence, including crime scene photos, which violated the protective order and resulted in an arrest and a suicide. Baldwin released discovery to Brandon Woodhouse, who disseminated it to the public, which could inflame prejudice against Allen. Baldwin did not alert the court or the state for several months, although I have this screenshot, which kind of goes against that. I added this part. Brandon Woodhouse also stated that Andrew Baldwin came to the Carroll County Jail in April 2023 to make sure he had erased Baldwin's email. And then Baldwin met with Brandon Woodhouse's girlfriend to confirm it was deleted. I don't know. Some people think that was kind of shady on the behalf of Baldwin to do that. April 5th, 2023. This is 2 days after Rick called his wife and made some incriminating statements. Defense provided false information in the emergency motion to modify safekeeping order. At the June 15th hearing, in this filing, Gull's attorney incorrectly wrote on or about June 20th, but it was the June 15th hearing. The state/Westville warden presented evidence that clearly demonstrated the falsity of the defense's claims. I have those supposed lies in a few more slides later. I wrote, in the Franks memo, the defense also made serious accusations against the 2 Westville guards that were not true. Obviously, in the Franks manifesto, most of that information was from earlier police reports, but the accusations against the Westville guards were, concocted, made up by the defense team. Another issue is a conflict of interest. Gull expressed concern that counsel obtained a financial interest in the proceedings by filing a notice of tort claim against the Department of Corrections related to Allen's pretrial confinement. Whether circumstances exist that would divide counsel's loyalty between Allen and their own interests is unclear. I wrote this definition down here for people who don't know. A tort claim outlines an act that causes injury or harm to another party, amounting to a civil wrong that allows the courts to assign liability. An injury can mean any imposition on another person's legal rights. So this is a quote from Gull's response to petition for writ of mandamus. Quote, the record demonstrates, my voice is messed up. The record demonstrates that the trial court, based on the totality of circumstances, could reasonably conclude that counsel's representation of relator Rick Allen, fell objectively short of the prevailing professional norms and that counsel's deficient performance prejudiced the defense in violation of Allen's Sixth Amendment right to competent counsel. The professional norms in Indiana are violated when counsel fails to safeguard confidential case materials, provides false information to the court, and makes extrajudicial statements that are likely to prejudice the case, end quote. More reasons for Gull wanting to remove Baldwin and Rosie. The defense was referencing cases outside of Indiana. So I remember, I think it was June 15th. I guess Rosie was the only one at the June 15th hearing who presented. And I guess he referenced a case outside of Indiana, and Gull kind of called him out saying, well, what about referencing cases that affect our state? And I think that happened a few times where they referenced stuff outside of Indiana, which I think it is allowable, but I guess she had an issue with it. This is not Gull who wrote this. This is obviously me. The Franks memo was long as hell and didn't get to the Franks issues until page 105 of 136. So, I mean, I wonder how many Franks memorandums Gull has either written or received in her long career. How many of them were 136 pages with 126 exhibits and like 7 hours of depositions to listen to? So, I mean, maybe if you're somebody who usually sees Frank's memos that are 10 to 20 pages and with maybe like 2 or 3 exhibits, and the defense submitted this manifesto, it's like, I guess I would piss off anybody, excuse my language. So the defense filed 2 more supplements like a few weeks later on October 2nd, quote, which includes more detailed analysis of the legal standards associated with the Franks process. Defendant Allen, aka his attorneys, now realizes that he did not articulate in detail the actual burden of proof associated with said preliminary showing, which frankly, I agree with Gull that it's like maybe you should have included that stuff in your first September 18th filing. So then the next day on October 3rd, they had one more additional Frank's notice. I included this because the defense wrote here, the memorandum previously filed with this court on October 18th, 2023, in support of said notice. This was filed October 3rd, so they screwed that up. I mean, I know people are like saying that I'm way too critical of spelling and grammar mistakes, but I mean, that's one sign of incompetence right there. So anyway, what do we have here? This says, so we're on slide 15 of 30. I'll get to your comments. Hopefully you guys are talking to each other nicely. Hi, Molly Pops. October 30th. Relator's brief in support of petition for writs of mandamus and prohibition. It was filed by Richard Allen and 3 attorneys on his behalf, not Baldwin and Rosie. My summary was that Gull is allowing documents to be hidden from the public, and she did not follow proper procedures, which I know everybody knows. I want people to follow proper procedures, and it applies to everybody in this case, not just the defense. It applies to the prosecution, law enforcement, and Judge Gull. So this issue has kind of been resolved somewhat, I guess. So A, hundreds of documents are improperly excluded from public access. B, Allen files a Franks memorandum, and the trial court, sua sponte, removes it from the public CCS, which stands for Chronological Case Summary. There's a website called My Case, which you can kind of like see these court filings that are supposed to be in chronological order. So she removed them without notice or hearing. Sua sponte, which I'm hopefully pronouncing that correctly, of one's own accord, is a decision made or action taken by a judge on his own accord or her own accord, with no motion or request having been made by any party to the legal action. C, the trial court attempts to effectuate the removal of Allen's chosen counsel over his objection and without his consent or approval. There's some debate about, since Rick is getting these attorneys for free, what are his rights to choose them? D, Allen instructs his chosen counsel to make filings on his behalf, and the trial court orders the clerk to remove those filings from the case file because they said Baldwin and Rosie were no longer his attorneys. November 6th, relator's brief in support of petition for writ of mandamus filed by Richard Allen and Mark Lehman and Kara Weinecke. Mark Lehman is the guy who's going to be arguing on behalf of Rick Allen at the January 18th hearing at the Supreme Court. The summary was reinstate Rosie and Baldwin because they were wrongly forced to quit, replace Gull, who is biased against the defense team, and Rick, and set a speedy trial within 70 days. A, Allen requested and was appointed competent and experienced counsel. B, Allen's lawyers issued a press release affirming his innocence. C, due to his declining mental and physical health, Allen asked to be moved out of maximum security segregation. D, Allen and his attorneys formulated a strategy of seeking a speedy trial and pursuing a defense of third-party guilt, which is pretty much blaming the Odinists. E, the trial court removed Allen's chosen counsel over his objection. And F, to continue pursuing Allen's trial strategy, counsel remained in the case as private counsel, but the court disqualified them. Next up are 2 slides from November 27th, the Indiana Attorney General's response to Richard Allen's petition for a writ of mandamus. It was filed by Theodore Rokita, who is the Indiana Attorney General, which is pretty much like the highest attorney in the state of Indiana for the state. The summary, it should not be granted because there are other ways to address these issues of replacing Gull and reinstating Baldwin and Rosie. So these are some of the highlights from what Rokita submitted. Appeal is both adequate and preferred to review whether a trial court abused its discretion in removing counsel. Removal was at the discretion of the trial court, so a mandamus is inappropriate. I think pretty much every time they refer to a trial court, it essentially means Judge Gull. A trial court's authority to remove counsel is more nuanced and less absolute than Allen's attorneys suggest. Indigent defendants do not have the right to choose appointed counsel. For people who are outside of the US or never got their GED, sorry. Indigent, well, I didn't know exactly what it meant, so anyway, indigent means not enough money to hire their own lawyer. Trial courts must weigh a defendant's preference for representation against the circumstances favoring disqualification. The right to counsel must be balanced with the need for a fair trial. The lack of record prevents review of counsel's disqualification, and Gull raised concerns that could warrant disqualification depending on the circumstances, including the defense's compliance with professional ethics and ability to provide Allen effective representation. This is one more slide continued with these points from the Attorney General. Defense's conduct could implicate a conflict of interest or endanger Allen's ability to secure an impartial jury. Gull expressed concern the defense obtained a financial interest in the proceedings by filing a notice of tort claim related to Allen's pretrial confinement. So pretty much that means if at some point, whatever the outcome of this trial, especially I guess if he's found not guilty, are Baldwin and Rosie going to file a civil claim where they're going to sue Indiana or even Westville or whatever for $20 million for false imprisonment or whatever? So does that mean that Baldwin and Rosie just kind of want to continue on to hopefully get a lot of money in the future? The extraordinary remedy of a writ, quote, is not available where the matter is within the discretion of the trial court, end quote. This is such a case. The request that the court order trial to commence within 70 days is improper, as Allen has not requested this relief in the trial court. Like I said, apparently back in August, Rosie had Rick Allen sign this request for a speedy trial within 70 days, and they just never filed it. The request the court replace Gull is improper, as that request has not been properly presented to the trial court. Allen fails to show that a remedy by appeal is not adequate. Current counsel could have filed Rosie's motion or sought interlocutory appeal on the refusal. By current counsel, they mean Labrado and Scremin. So this next few slides, I have defense leaks. So this is October 19th. I'll start up here. Into a civil matter, I think that's inappropriate. So this is Judge Gull talking up here. She said, May of this year, 2023, we were notified by the state of the Brandon Woodhouse arrest and the subsequent discovery of your work product. And I think it was an outline that you created for yourselves with the discovery. It was pretty detailed. I don't know if that's the right word. That apparently happened in December of last year. And that was not revealed to anybody, not shared with the court. It wasn't shared with you, although apparently you guys knew about what was going on. Baldwin says he didn't know. Gull says you knew. Baldwin says I did know. And Gull replies, so then Mr. Woodhouse gets arrested and here we are, grossly negligent to email that to the wrong Brad. So just a reminder, I guess back in early December of 2022, I guess someone at Baldwin's firm maybe created a Word document or something with a list of the folders that they had received for discovery evidence. So I think it just had the names of the folders. So maybe somebody in Baldwin's office sent him that document, and then Baldwin started creating a new email or forwarded it to Brad Rosie. He started typing BRA for Brad Rosie. And then I guess it shows that even before December 2022, Baldwin had been emailing Brandon Woodhouse, he was local to Carroll County. He absolutely hates Nick McClelland. He hates Tobe Lesenby, Liggett. He hates everybody in Carroll County Sheriff's Department. He sued them because he's been arrested a few times. And he said he's like been falsely arrested, and the conditions in Carroll County Jail are absolutely horrible. So Woodhouse has sued Carroll County Jail. He apparently got tens of thousands of dollars in a settlement. So it seems like Baldwin, when they were assigned as Rick's attorneys in November 2022, he heard about this lawsuit that Woodhouse started. So he's looking for reasons, I guess, to find, I don't know, like some kind of corruption amongst Carroll County sheriffs. So here in October, Gull said May of this year, we were notified by the state of the Brandon Woodhouse arrest. But I noticed in one of the filings, it said October 8th of this year, an email from Gull. She said, I recall our communication back in December 2022 regarding an email from Andy Baldwin to Brad Rosie, which contained discovery information, but was sent to the wrong Brad in Andy's address book. Has that individual been interviewed? Could that be the source of the leak? So it seems like this year, she said she knew about it in December 2022, but up here, she's saying she didn't find out about it until May. And that was one of her criticisms, that Baldwin should have told her earlier. What do we got here? We're on slide 21 of about 30. October 31st, 2023 transcript, Nick McClelland, once they left chambers, and then there was a leak from the defense in December that wasn't made aware to the state or to the court until the state found out. Then we have the various motions that were filed with not only negligent statements, Judge, but I think outright lies. And I think that's been proven in court in hearings that we've had. We then have the Franks motion. Who knows what that's about? So I have this here. I could not find where I got this screenshot from, but it was something from, I guess, an attorney on behalf of Rosie or Baldwin. And this was fairly recent, I guess in maybe October. So this is a quote from some kind of defense filing. Andy has a friend by the name of Mitch Westerman. Mitch has a law degree from Valparaiso. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. And at one point in the past, worked as an employee at Andy's firm. Mitch is also Andy's personal friend. Just a reminder, Andy is Andrew Baldwin. It is my understanding that Mitch had a girlfriend in the Franklin area, which is where Baldwin's office is, and therefore would routinely stop by the office when he visited his girlfriend. Andy communicated to me that Mitch was a fairly skilled strategist and that he would sometimes communicate ideas and circumstances with Mitch to get his feedback. Andy reported that he did this on occasion in this case, the Delphi case. So this referred to Mitch Westerman as having a girlfriend, and a few weeks ago, Mitch Westerman's wife filed for divorce. I guess this was news to her. So the section is defense leaks, and it says that Andrew Baldwin was discussing the case with a former employee and a friend, Mitch Westerman. So did Baldwin allow Mitch Westerman to view discovery without having followed number 7 of the protective order governing discovery? On February 13th, 2023, the state's motion requesting protective order governing discovery. Number 4, from that February 2023 request to kind of keep the evidence private. So number 4, that the discovery material may be viewed only by parties, counsel, and counsel's investigators and experts. So were Westerman and this guy RF who committed suicide considered an investigator or expert? RF has communicated, or he did communicate to people before his suicide, obviously, that he was going to go to Franklin, which is where Baldwin's office is. And he said, he kind of alluded to the defense team wanted this guy, RF, who committed suicide, about sharing the photos later. They wanted him to kind of poke holes in their defense strategy. So is this guy, RF and Westerman, considered an official investigator or expert? Number 5, that if copies of the discovery material are made and provided to the defendant, investigators or experts for the defense, that sensitive and private information contained in the discovery shall be redacted, including any social security numbers, IDAC information or NCIC information, any information related to the personal information of juveniles, including social security numbers, names, and date of birth, and any FBI Sentinel information. Number 6, that discovery material shall not be distributed to any person not authorized to view it, including witnesses, family members, relatives, and friends of the defendant. So Mitch Westerman sent it to his friend, RF, who I guess was also working for the defense, who sent it to other people, who then sent it to other people. So these are some of the issues I think that Gull has with the defense team and their actions. This is the final slide, I think, for this section. So February 13th, this is continued. These are just bullet points from the state's motion requesting protective order governing discovery. Number 7, that no person other than the defendant, counsel for the defendant, and those persons listed in paragraph 5 shall be granted access to said discovery material or the substance of any portion thereof, unless that person has signed an agreement in writing that he or she has received a copy of this February 2023 order on discovery, and that he or she submits to the court's jurisdiction and authority with respect to the material, agrees to be subject to the court's contempt powers for any violation of this order, and is granted prior permission by Judge Gull to access said discovery material. So did Andrew Baldwin have Westerman and this RF guy sign agreements that were approved by Gull? If not, is that one of the reasons why Gull thinks they're incompetent? 2 more things for this. Number 8, that upon final disposition of the case, the discovery material referred to in paragraph 1 and any and all transcripts shall be returned to the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office or maintained by defense counsel pursuant to the terms herein. And number 9, that counsel for the defendant shall be responsible to ensure that all persons involved in the defense of this case comply with this order. So that means that Baldwin and Rosie shall be responsible to ensure that all persons involved in the defense, so Westerman and this other guy, comply with this order. Did they do that? All right, a few more slides. So this section has defense lies. October 19th, chamber meeting. Mr. Rosie, do you want to make a okay, so this is after, so Gull, McClelland, Baldwin, and Rosie had this initial meeting around 12:30 before the 2 p.m. whatever was supposed to happen. At some point, Rick Allen arrives and Rosie and Baldwin go talk to him. And I think this is after the point where they talk to Rick Allen about saying, well, the judge wants us to be removed. So Rosie comes back in and says to Gull, do you want to make a record with this? I mean, I think it's appropriate that the court let him, Rick, speak into the record his thoughts, unless the court just accepts that as notice that those are his opinions. Gull replied, well, you wouldn't lie to me about that. Rosie replied, I would not lie to you about anything, which I'm sorry, but I disagree that he has never told any lies in this case. And I'm going to show some receipts. June 15th hearing, there was no transcript released, so we have to kind of rely on reporters and whoever was there. So WRTV is a local Indiana news station, and this is on their website after the June 15th hearing. Rosie was the only one, I think, who presented at that hearing. Allen's attorney says that they want Allen to be treated like any other pre-trial defendant. They argued he has no privacy at Westville and that they have spent all of their time trying to get him housed in better conditions. So they have not been able to focus on the case and their defense. So I wrote this down here in red. So for 7 months, when they were hired back in November 2022 to June 15th, Baldwin and Rosie focused on getting Rick Allen out of Westville and nothing else. That seems to be what Rosie said to Gull. So in the September 18th, Frank's manifesto, page 119, this 170 footnote, Rosie had only Baldwin and Rosie signed the Frank's memo. So this is what they said. At that time, April 3rd, 2023, which is when Rick called his wife, the defense was fully aware of the Odinite involvement in the murders, but law enforcement would likely not have known that the defense was aware of the Odinite involvement, which could explain why they felt comfortable wearing their patches. So here we go. September 18th, also Frank's memo, page 23. This is footnote 16. I think I have 2 more slides before I go to your chat messages. This decision has been painfully and emotionally difficult for Rick's defense team, as defense counsel recognized that while the defense took the necessary time to review the discovery to establish the onus links both to the murders and to the Westville Correctional Facility. Defense counsel was also aware that Rick would remain in his hellhole at Westville, subject to the cruelty of the two sergeants who are Odinists, and perhaps other Odinite corrections officers. This was especially painful at the June 15th, 2023 hearing to transport Rick to Cass County, as defense counsel knew at that time of the links between the murders and Odinism and Westville. Unfortunately, defense counsel needed additional time to fully understand and verify the facts before leveling such accusations. This is the reason that the defense tactically decided to keep its knowledge to itself rather than reveal that knowledge in open court at the hearing. So, I mean, I guess we can all make our own judgments about whether Rosie saying at June 15th hearing that they've only been focusing on getting Rick out of the jail or the prison, and not focusing on this defense strategy. I mean, it wasn't truthful. I mean, I guess you can say it's part of the lawyer's job to do that. But so these last few slides are more of the defense lies from the June 15th hearing. So the Westville warden kind of clarified the lies the defense made in their April 5th emergency motion to modify safekeeping order, which an interesting thing is because Rosie said at the June 15th hearing, we've spent all of our time trying to get Rick moved out of Westville. However, Rick went to Westville November 2nd of 2022. Baldwin and Rosie were hired, I think, November 14th of 2022. And it was not until however many months later, like 5 months later, was their first time trying to get Rick moved. And it just so happened to be 2 days after Rick called his wife and supposedly confessed to killing Abby and Libby. So it doesn't seem like that was true. So these are just two slides here from June 15th. In the April 5th order to move Rick, the defense stated, quote, Mr. Allen has been entombed in a cell as small as 6 feet in width by 10 feet in length, a space no larger than that of a dog kennel. The warden clarified on June 15th at the hearing. Allen is in a cell 12 feet by 8 feet, so it's larger than the defense said. Although Allen has lost weight, he has been eating, showering, and utilizing recreation time at the prison. I do understand that the defense wanted to, I guess, go into the Rick cell with the tape measure, but I mean, just because they're his lawyers doesn't mean that they can really be given access to a segregated unit and just be like, all right, let's start measuring. Possible lie number 2. The defense said Mr. Allen is afforded showers only 1 to 2 times per week. The warden clarified Allen is allowed 3 showers per week. I mean, I remember reading that and it's like, well, don't these prisons have actual schedules instead of just like giving people 1 or 2 showers a week? The defense said Mr. Allen is required to wear the same clothes, including underwear, for days and days on end, all of which are soiled, stained, tattered, and torn. The warden replied, prisoners are provided 3 sets of clothing each week. Allen has access to commissary where he has bought clothing, socks, and shoes. I'm sure all of you remember this picture from this April 5th, I guess the April 5th motion for safekeeping order, where they showed Rick wearing a stained shirt where he was sitting in that orange jumpsuit looking to the side. And it's been said that, I think the prosecution said, well, we looked at the video and before that picture was taken, Rick was sent, he went from, I guess, recreation time to his cell and he could have changed his shirt into something cleaner, but he did not. So there's that. 2 more. Defense said Mr. Allen is sleeping on a pad on a concrete floor. The warden said Allen has a bed. This was not a lie, but it insinuated that Allen is sleeping on a pad on a concrete floor because he was put in a cell without a bed. Defense said, quote, Mr. Allen is afforded very little, if any, recreation time outside of his cold, concrete, and metal quarters. The warden clarified that Rick has a tablet for music, movies, and phone calls, and he has 1 hour of recreation time 5 times per week. 2 other days a week he's in a cell all the time, which I agree. If he's not proven he's not proven guilty yet, so I think he should have some more recreation time outside of his cell. But I just don't know what the logistics are for him being able to be alone in some kind of recreation area. Okay, I'm taking a drink and I'm gonna appear, unfortunately, on camera. Hello. I'm 45 minutes behind. I haven't highlighted a single comment, so I'm scrolling up. Hi, everybody. 275 people. Uh-oh, I shouldn't have looked. All right, let's see what you guys talked about while I was rambling. Hi, everybody, instead of saying hi to everybody individually. I'm just going through the highs. Hi, Precy. Precy says, the media refers to people by their last name. You do what you want. All right, thank you. Yeah, I don't know that I can really get past calling Rick Alan Rick or just calling him Alan. So we'll see what happens. Hi to everybody who said hi. Charmaine, get to work. Hi, Chris. Chris says, oh my God, Rick Allen, Kegan Kline, and Chadwell in the same prison together. Can you imagine? Well, I don't know what Rick's segregation status is going to be. I doubt he's going to be in general population and allowed to interact with these other people. I know some people think that like Kegan and Rick are going to be chatting at a kitchen table or something, a cafeteria table, like plotting how are we going to get past this. Do you think Alan and Klein know each other or not? As of now, I would say not. Hi, Stephanie. Nice to see you. Hi, Shoehorn. Couldn't stay away from us. This is my holiday present to people who are not my members. Hi, Chicos. Nice to see you. DWS, I've been wanting to reference you, which isn't it like 5 a.m. Australia time? DWS made a great point a few months ago. He left me a comment and said, oh, here it is. He said, ignore the angry wankers. So thank you for that advice, which is something that we should all remember. Ignore the angry wankers. So thank you, DWS. Hi, Anna. Nice to see you. I think leaking the crime scene photos was so harmful to Rick that is a major reason the attorneys were disqualified. I mean, I get the point that Baldwin really didn't have anything to do with it, and you would think that, I don't know. I mean, his office, it's not like somebody from the street can just walk into their office and walk in the back conference room and start filming evidence and taking pictures. So it was somebody who worked in that actual building previously. So they thought they could trust him, and apparently not. So I don't know. Some people are saying it's like tainting a jury pool with these leaks. However, they only have to find 12 people who really have not heard a lot of stuff about this case. A lot of us, I mean, we know so many things about this case, but there are people who really don't even know how to use the internet. Like my uncle is one of those people, and he only has like a cell phone that he hardly knows how to use. So I'm sure they're going to find 12 people who don't know all the details of this case. So we'll see what happens. Hi, sees through. The court hearing is January 18th at 11 a.m. Eastern. It will be broadcast on the Supreme Court website. I will try and put it behind me or somehow broadcast it live and do a live chat, which, why do I agree to do these things? Hi, it's just Crime Machine. Hi, Tiff. Nice to see you. What a great afternoon delight. It's hi to everybody all around the world who's joining. Hi, Peter. Peter hopes the defense team gets back on. I don't know. I think there definitely are signs that Baldwin and Rosie are incompetent. And what's going to happen if Rick is found guilty and then he says, oh, I want to appeal. And the reason is my lawyers were incompetent. I don't know. I don't know. I just want this trial to happen. Teresa says, no disqualifying hearing. She's so corrupt and biased. Yeah. A lot of us have varying opinions, and I usually try to say this at the beginning. So just try and be polite in sharing your opinions. Some people think Gull should stay, she should go. Some people, the defense, think the defense should stay or go. So state your opinion and just be polite, please. I mean, I'm fine with Gull going. I mean, she has shown signs of incompetence also. I don't know if it's as extreme as some people seem to make it. Teresa says, yeah, the judge's friends are these new attorneys. I don't know. I mean, if Gull kind of like got sick of Baldwin and Rosie and their actions for a year, and she had to come up with two other public defenders, I mean, I can kind of see how she would say, I want these two guys who are public defenders from Allen County, because she knows their prior experiences and she feels like they would be competent compared to Baldwin and Rosie, who maybe she did not know that they would make these mistakes. I don't know. I don't think it's like some big conspiracy that Gull was like, okay, let me hire Scremin and Librato because they'll do whatever I say. I get that some people are thinking, well, Scremin and Librato are going to have to present cases to Gull in the future. So are they going to would that influence how they proceed with Rick Allen's case? I don't know. Chris, do you guys believe Chadwell may be involved after all, or is he too dim-witted? I don't think he's involved. Anna says, apparently those leaks are equal to medical records getting leaked. Attorneys should protect records as diligently as medical personnel protect their records. Well, then after this happened, Baldwin was like, oh, we put a lock on the door to make sure that people could not get access to it. I mean, I understand that they would think that nobody would actually go in and photograph those evidence photos, but apparently it turned out that it was possible. Hi, Grace. Thank you. Nice to see you. Steve says, Gull is holding the judicial system hostage. I think it's just crazy that all we should really care about is justice for Abby and Libby. And we're now at a point where the trial has been delayed another year, and there's fighting over whether the judge is going to stay and whether the defense team is going to stay. And the judge has an attorney and the defense team has their own attorneys. It's like, why has this gotten to this point? It's so crazy. Teresa thinks the prosecution is behind the leak. I do not agree with that, Teresa, but I mean, it was Westerman worked at Baldwin's office and said he was the one who went in there and took the photos and shared them with other people. So I don't know how you can really say that. What is this? I need to highlight these things before I talk about them. He's an idiot. Next. Not you, Doodle, the person you're talking about. Anna says, I imagine Carroll County is feeling a bit depressed that RA's former attorneys are not allowed to do the case pro bono. Yes. No, I thought somebody said that even if they took it pro bono, it would cost money for Carroll County. I forget. Hi, Ann. Nice to see you. Stephanie, I agree with you totally. Everything about this case is so strange. Yeah. I think we have to be prepared. I'm prepared that when the foreman of the jury reads the verdict, I'm not thinking that it's going to be guilty, to be honest. I just think it's going to be something that there's no conclusion, because it seems like it's just one thing after another with this case. And for the families of Abby and Libby, I just feel horrible if that's going to be the case, that they're hoping for some kind of resolution finally, and it's just going to drag out on and on. Sorry, I'm just looking for comments. Hi, Miranda. Nice to see you. Hi, Melly. Baldwin and Rosie did file to represent Rick pro bono, which means the state would not have to pay for it. But Gull said that was not allowed because she thinks they're incompetent either way. Allen, I'm trying to refer to Richard Allen by his last name instead of calling him Rick because people get triggered. I'm 30 minutes behind on comments. Tiff makes a good point. If I can't trust someone to proofread their document, I wouldn't feel comfortable trusting them in larger issues. For people who saw my 7-hour and 5-minute Frank's Memo Manifesto video, there were so many errors in that 136-page document that it was just shocking to me that Baldwin and Rosie would sign something with so many errors. It truly was a sign of incompetence. So I don't know. Hi, rescue all the dogs. Chicos, since Alan sold his home, would he not have to put the proceeds towards his defense? Following another case where this happened, I don't know the rules in Indiana or anywhere else. I don't think that Rick's wife should be punished for the supposed actions of Rick. I mean, her life has been thrown upside down. So I don't know. Obviously, there should be rules about it and not just like trying to be nice to the spouse of somebody who supposedly did something horrible. Is this for me? Thomas. I've seen a lot of people write SCOIN. Not that I'm correcting you, Aspen Connor. It's called the Indiana Supreme Court, so just write ISC. Does the ISC choosing to hear oral arguments and presumably issuing an order afterwards negate the merit of a possible post-conviction appeal, at least regarding the issues they will address? I have no idea what that means. What? Hold up while I try to understand this. I don't know what you're talking about. Next, I needed some easier questions. Aspen is the host on It's a Crime and Shame. They usually have live chats on Monday nights. You can deep dive that on your live chat tonight with Sunny Justice. Doodle says, I doubt it was an accident considering how vocal Woodhouse is about corruption. Yes, Brandon Woodhouse has made YouTube videos about Carroll County corruption. He absolutely hates Nick McClelland. He's currently in jail. He has a court case that just got delayed until May for having like a gun and assaulting a officer. Charmaine, thank you for reminding me of this. Why can't I highlight this? Oh, here we go. Charmaine, thank you so much. You gifted 10 Tom Webster memberships to people, and I'm actually allowed. I realized that I'm actually allowed to do 5. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm allowed to gift. I don't see the option for it though. Oh God, what the hell? I don't see the option how to do it. Crap. Sorry. I wanted to gift 5 free memberships for 1 month, which they're not really worth it because I only do 1 live chat a month. I can't figure it out, unfortunately. Sorry. You're not missing anything. But thank you so much, Charmaine, for your generosity. You're still not paying attention at work? Let's see. What are we doing here? Anna always has great questions and comments. So thank you, Anna, for joining and sharing your thoughts. I wonder what's really happening. Yeah, me too. That was my ankle that just cracked. The defense indicated they believed Richard Allen was factually innocent. Did they scuttle the case after Rick made admissions called confessions by many? I don't know. I think we need to hear. I want to know how this April 3rd phone call unfolded. We know that Rick's intern and the private investigator working for the defense went to Westville April 3rd. It seems like this phone call was after the meeting. So, what did the defense team present to Rick at that meeting? Actually, just yesterday, I looked to see from this discovery list when did they receive discovery before April 3rd? And the last time was February 13th. So, I don't know. I'm just curious to know what happened at that meeting and what caused Rick to go back, pick up a phone or the tablet, and call his wife. And according to the prosecution, he admitted several times that he killed Abby and Libby and that he is guilty of the crimes that he's charged with. I don't know. Then the defense freaked out and tried to, I guess, take attention away from that. I don't know. Hopefully, we'll find out the transcript before the trial and see exactly what he said, but I don't know. Hi, Malibu. This all started with the defense telling judge that they intend to pursue a speedy trial. The scheduled trial date was set to start for the first of the years. Yeah, January 8th of next year. Is that at the heart of Gull's issue? No, I think she definitely has some valid issues with the defense team's competence. Hi, Don. Yeah, some people are saying this. Teresa says likely also Slick Nick is not ready for trial. That's why I find these leaks timing suspicious. Why do you think he's not ready? They say that they have all the evidence that they need against Rick. So I don't understand why people say the prosecution is not ready and that they're trying to delay the trial. Sorry, I'm just looking for topics we have not discussed. Oh yeah, so Mitch Westerman was arrested for, I think the title of the offense was conversion. And some people are saying, well, taking photos of photos is not really anything illegal. Aspen Connor says, I'm sure everyone would like to know his motive, Mitch Westerman, and I hope we find out during Westerman's trial, but no one involved is alleging he worked secretly for the prosecution. Even Baldwin knows that. Four Pitbulls, hello, says, we don't know the half of all the shady truths. Yeah. At this point, I am just like waiting for the trial so we can finally hear all this evidence. I think some people who are saying, oh, I'm 100% sure Rick is innocent or I'm 100% sure that Rick is guilty, you need to slow your roll because we have not seen all the evidence yet. I think there's a lot of stuff that points to Rick, but there are certain things that point to his innocence. So I'm just waiting for the trial to finally hear all the evidence. Doodle says the defense leaking info does compromise the trial. If Gull allowed the defense to stay on the case and Rick was found guilty, he could appeal for ineffective counsel and possibly go free. Hi, Mustang. Nice to see you. Malibu said Judge Gull, at the least, is failing to follow the rules of court and ignoring the right to a fair and full hearing on the merits. Gull's behavior is more damaging. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that Baldwin and Rosie should have had a hearing with more notice about what was about to happen. So I think the outcome of this Supreme Court hearing on January 18th might lead to Baldwin and Rosie getting an actual hearing to be reinstated. I don't think it's going to be a written opinion from the Supreme Court saying, okay, Baldwin and Rosie, you're allowed to go back to representing Rick. And then some people are saying this Supreme Court ruling after January 18th may take a few months. So then if they want, or if they grant a hearing for Baldwin and Rosie, that might take another few months. So it's just like one delay after another. Hi, Caricature Contest. Nice to see you. Hi, Jackie. I haven't seen you since you complained about me saying Ron Logan wasn't a bridge guy. But nice to see you. Happy holidays. It's a tragedy and a shame that no one has yet to defend Alan properly. Nobody has to date. Well, I was thinking about something kind of off topic, I guess. But when Rick was sent to Westville, he never had a lawyer like represent him at this whatever the safekeeping to move him to a prison. So I mean, I agree that he should have at least had some kind of hearing represented by an attorney about being moved from Carroll County to a prison. Teresa says, well, their evidence is weak at best. I couldn't say guilty on what they have. Also, the Odinist suspect, BH, his initials, you guys pretty much know who he is very suspect to me. I agree that BH, there were a lot of stuff that were suspect, but I don't think, I mean, he had a huge long beard before and after the murders. So I don't think he was bridge guy. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see at the trial if Baldwin and Rosie are his attorneys then, and they present to the jury, okay, these are the Odinist suspects who we think were the actual murderers. Is McClelland going to stand up and say, okay, well, we cleared BH by doing this, and just go through the 5 or 6 Odinist suspects and say, this is how we cleared all these people. So this alternate theory by the defense is simply wrong and not proven. I don't know. And the evidence, excuse me, the evidence is weak at best. So I agree partially, but there are some coincidences. I guess I'll get off screen and share a PowerPoint slide. This is from my manifesto PowerPoint slide. Please stand by while I fix this. Uh-oh, where am I? So we'll talk about this real quick. Uh-oh. Actually, I don't know. Excuse me while I try and fix this stuff. So I agree that there's not a lot of great evidence that we've seen that points to Rick being 100% guilty. However, I came up with these 7 coincidences that I just cannot get past these coincidences. Let me take a drink, please. Oh. Coincidence 1. At 1:27, a few minutes before the juvenile girls passed a man resembling Rick and Bridge Guy, a car resembling Rick's headed towards CPS. I haven't seen the video, so I'm not certain if it was Rick's car. Maybe the tire shape and color won't be close to Rick's Ford Focus, and law enforcement was lying or exaggerating, but it will obviously be shown to the jury to decide. So this Hoosier Horror Story video at 1:27 is one of the biggest pieces of evidence that I'm most looking forward to seeing. And one of my members in our Saturday chat made a very good point. She said, well, police have Rick's car. Have they already, or can they drive past Hoosier Harbor Store camera like today and then get the video from Hoosier Harbor Store and compare today's video of Rick's car driving by Hoosier Harbor Store with the February 13th, 1:27 p.m. And if I'm a jury member and I see that that looks exactly like the same car, that was Rick's car, that goes totally against Rick saying that he left at 1:30, and it shows that he actually arrived at 1:30 or 1:28. And to me, like the timeline just totally adds up if that was Rick's car. So coincidence two, Rick parked at CPS around noon. I know some people are saying we don't know that he did that. We also don't know from 2017 who referred to that lot as the old Farm Bureau building. It just said he parked at the old Farm Bureau building. It could have been the conservation officer who wrongly identified that, because in October 2022, it said that Rick told police he parked next to an old building. There's only one old building near the trails, and that's the old CPS building before it got torn down. So coincidence two, Rick parked at CPS around noon and passed 3 juvenile girls, including a taller one with brown or black hair, between the Freedom Bridge entrance to the trails and bench 1, and didn't say anything to them. 90 minutes later, another man, so this is based on Rick saying he got there at noon. 90 minutes later, another man dressed like Rick and Bridge Guy with his hoodie on and hands in his pockets passed juvenile girls in the same small area and didn't reply to the girl who said hi. This man, likely Bridge Guy, also headed from exactly platform 1 of the bridge, also headed exactly to platform 1 of the bridge, just like Rick did 90 minutes earlier. So was there a taller girl with brown or black hair at 1:30? Because Rick said around noon there was. What are the odds that 90 minutes earlier in the same area, Rick just so happened to pass a taller girl with dark hair? I know some people are saying like, well, there were these other girls who were at City Park and they were also at the trails. From what I've seen from like screenshots of at least one of those girls, they never went to the trails. They only played basketball at City Park, which is like maybe a 5 to 10 minute walk from the trail. So if you're one of those people who think that there were 3 juvenile girls exactly in the same spot where Rick said he was around 12, and exactly in the same spot where these 4 juveniles around 1:26 to 1:30 passed Bridge Guy, then I'm not sure that that's correct. Coincidence 3, approximately 20 minutes after 4 juveniles passed Bridge Guy around 1:32, which would match up with the time it would have taken Rick to get from Freedom Bridge to High Bridge if he parked at 1:28. Witness 4 saw a man around 1:53 on platform 1, the same small area of this long bridge that Rick said he stood on watching fish when Deer Creek's water was muddy due to recent snow melting. Witness 4 said the man on platform 1, 90 minutes after Rick was on platform 1, was also wearing the same clothes as Bridge Guy and Rick, but his age was described as 20 to early 30s with no recollection by her of facial hair by Witness 4. It seems this male's hoodie was off if she saw poofy hair and got a good look at his face, unless her vision was bad and Rick's head covering was confused for poofy hair. It just seems like one huge coincidence after another. Coincidence 4, there's 3 more left, and then I'll get back to your comments about what this chat is supposed to be about. Anyway, we're just freestyling it, people. Coincidence 4, for 90 minutes, Rick only saw the 3 juveniles when he arrived around noon. Witness testimony will reveal how many other people, if any, walked near Freedom Bridge, the 501 and 505 trails, as well as went to the High Bridge between noon and 1:30 to provide exculpatory evidence proving if anyone saw Rick. The 4 juveniles took a photo of the High Bridge at 12:43. So was Rick in that photo? He said he was on platform 1 between noon and 1:30. Did they see a man on the trails before 1:30 other than the man walking his dog? Police said they identified almost everyone on the trails other than Bridge Guy. So wouldn't a group of 3 girls at noon have said they passed a man dressed like Bridge Guy near bench 1, totally different than the 1:30 group of 4 girls who said they passed a man dressed like Bridge Guy? Coincidence 5. Rick admitted backing his black 2016 Ford Focus near the CPS building, which was described as unusual for people to park in that section of that lot. Less than 40 minutes after Rick left at 1:30, another car was spotted parked in the same odd spot and was described as a purple PT Cruiser or small SUV. 45 minutes after Rick left, so 5 minutes after the spotting by this guy on Hoosier Heartland Highway, Witness 4 described that car in the same backed up position against CPS, but she said it was a 1965 Mercury Comet. 58 minutes after Rick left, it was described as a smaller, dark colored car, possibly a smart car. Yet, none of the drivers of those vehicles came forward to help Doug Carter and the distraught families of Abby and Libby in April 2019 after the press conference to say they were parked at CPS between noon to 5. So Rick did not walk 1 block from his job at CVS to the sheriff's office in April 2019 to tell them he was parked at CPS from noon to 1:30. They were saying, if you park there from noon to 5, please let us know. Obviously, Rick did tell them, or the conservation officer, in February 2017, but I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of shady that he did not go walk 1 block to say, just a reminder, I was parked there and I'm innocent. 2 more. Coincidence 6. If Rick left the trail near Freedom Bridge around 1:25 to get to his car's CPS, and a man matching Rick's and Bridge Guy's description comes from the direction of Freedom Bridge approximately 5 minutes after Rick left and past the 4 juveniles, where the hell did Bridge Guy walk from or park? Rick said he didn't see anyone other than 3 juveniles around noon. He didn't see Bridge Guy. He didn't see Ron Logan, a group of Odinists, or a 20-year-old boy with poofy hair. I said something shady. That's what happens when you look at a stock ticker on your phone as you walk. So if Rick is not Bridge Guy, did Bridge Guy walk from town? I think most of us would agree that these juvenile girls passed Bridge Guy, whoever he was. So where did he come from? Did Bridge Guy park at the main lot northwest of Freedom Bridge? If so, he had to have been parked there from 1:30 to 4 or so, or even later without anyone noticing him, and would have had to walk from the crime scene even further than Rick's car parked at CPS. All right, this is the final one of this, and I'll get back to your comments. Coincidence 7. Police stated the sound of Bridge Guy cycling his gun to intimidate the girls can be heard on Libby's video. Cycling a gun can cause an unspent round to be ejected. An unspent round found next to the girls matched a gun owned by Rick. I know everybody's freaking out about me saying this because this supposed science about matching a gun cartridge or a round that wasn't even shot through the gun, it's very debatable about whether it's reliable. However, if I'm a jury member and McClelland presents saying, okay, well, we also confiscated a gun from a local homeowner, which was also a Sig Sauer, and Indiana State Police tested it against the unspent round found 2 feet from Libby's body, but that gun did not match the unspent round that we found. However, when we found Rick's gun and compared it, it did. So as a jury member, even if an expert says, okay, this science isn't that great, to me, I mean, that would be somewhat suspicious based on what I just said. Also, I recently thought Rick's, when they searched Rick's house on October 13th, 2022, they took his gun, 2 magazines, which a magazine is just like a holder for up to 10 gun cartridges or bullets, whatever you want to call it. The 2 cartridges had a total of 17 cartridges. Sorry, I might have messed up. The 2 magazines had a total of 17 cartridges out of a possible maximum of 20. So that means that 3 were missing. 1 was found in Rick's gun. 1 was found in a keepsake box in between, like on Rick's dresser in his bedroom. And I guess you could say the 3rd one could possibly be the one found 2 feet from Abby and Libby. My final point on this is, as a jury member, they also took, I guess, boxes of Winchester and Blazer ammo. So if they show a picture of what that ammo looked like compared to what's found in the ground next to Libby and Abby, that also could be fairly powerful against Rick. So that's that. Sorry for that little diversion there. Oh my God. Anyway, I missed some things up here to say. Hi, Cecil Hotel. Thank you. As always, I appreciate it. Thank you. Happy holidays for whatever holiday you guys celebrate. Uh-oh. I know your face from previously, but I never know how to pronounce your name. Should I even say it? Rohamno. Did I get it right? Thank you so much for your generous donation. I really appreciate it. Enjoy your holidays. Cece, have a Rubens on me. Oh my God, you remember I like Rubens? Thank you. I really appreciate that. And you're obviously from Europe with that. Oh, wait, is that? Oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Are you in London? Let's go with that. Next, I'm so embarrassing. 330 people. Oh my God. Hi, everybody. Hi, Jamie. Happy holidays. Nice to see you. I'm just looking for some comments. Malibu says Rick would have to waive his right to claim ineffective assistance of counsel on appeal. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with anything like legal stuff. Hi, Simone. Nice to see you. Thank you. Hi, Shell Bell. I don't know that it's a podcast, but whatever. It's a train wreck. Jackie says zero motive for Rick, I guess, and no reason, logical reason, he'd come forward if he was guilty. Well, there is one logical reason. He passed these girls near bench one, even though one of them said he had his mouth covered and he had his hoodie on. Yeah, I don't understand how they could say he had gray hair if his goatee was covered and his head was covered. So this is just one of the many things we're going to have to wait for these witnesses to say at the trial. However, could he have been concerned that those girls would come into CVS at some point and say to their mom or whatever, the police, that's the guy I saw on the trails? I mean, I think that's a decent reason for Rick to come forward before the screenshot from Libby's video was put out and the audio of his voice. I still have not seen any confirmation exactly when Rick went to the police, but I've said this before, the FBI Orion system, it seems to be like it's in chronological order, and Rick's tip was labeled number 74. Number 48 supposedly was a phone call or something that, or maybe an email tip. I just remember it was February 16th at 7:21 p.m. Eastern. So I don't know if Rick's tip was written on a piece of paper, which it seems like it was, and maybe it was put into like some kind of bin or folder as they waited for the FBI Orion system to be installed or set up. So technically, the tip was written down before the February 15th late afternoon, evening release of the sketch, or not the sketch, but the screenshot of Bridge Guy. I don't know. We'll find this stuff out at some point. Hi, Charlotte, another kind person from the London area. I'm glad I can make you laugh. Thank you. Hi, Necessary Evil. A lot of you guys are talking about like where Rick went to high school, but I don't know that that's relevant. I guess you guys are trying to figure out if Rick Allen and Kagan's dad knew each other. We've obviously heard that Rick worked at the CVS in Peru, which is where Kagan and Tony lived. Kagan said he did not know Rick Allen. Let's see. Jackie. Oh my gosh. Jackie, how do you explain away that Ron Logan was captured on the transfer station, like the garbage, whatever recycling place, 2 hours before Abby and Libby filmed Bridge Guy? Ron was wearing boots like halfway up to his legs. He was wearing dark blue jeans. He was wearing a jacket that did not match Bridge Guy's. He was wearing his prescription glasses, and he was not wearing any kind of head covering. I don't know. I've gone through my reasons why Ron is not Bridge Guy. Whether he had anything to do with it later, I don't know for sure, but Ron was not Bridge Guy in my opinion. Teresa says, it's actually scary how many people think guilty before trial. Praying you're not on any juries. Well, honestly, it's kind of scary that people say that Rick is 100% innocent before seeing all the evidence at trial, too. I mean, I get that you want to like say that people should be or innocent before being proven guilty, but we're on YouTube. We're not like actual jury members. I don't think you can really expect people who have spent hundreds and thousands of hours looking into this case to not like come up with an opinion. Yeah, Aspen made a good point, better than his last one. A motive may be used in court, but is not required to present a case against Allen whatsoever. That's the law. Prosecutor Nick simply has to prove Rick committed a felony resulting in their deaths. Yeah, this is important to remember. They only have to prove that Rick was Bridge Guy. Anything that happened after that, like down the hill, across the creek, they don't have to prove that. They just have to prove to a jury that Rick was the guy who walked up to Abby and Libby and said, guys, go down the hill. Thank you. Yeah, this is available in my online store. Because in my first Delphi video, I said, I'm mortified by my YouTube channel. And so I made this shirt. So if you want one, and actually have Sleuther Vandross detective agency water thing. I'll review this. So it's kind of cheap. It has like a clear sticker and they just like put my logo on it. So actually I need a drink. Don't look. I'm such an idiot. Anyway, I hate live chats. Hi, Rachel. Nice to see you. How far behind am I? 45 minutes. Oh, God. Hi, Hooky Bricks Hooky. Nice to see you. I don't think that you can take everything the warden said at face value. I agree, but I mean, like the dimensions of a cell and their schedules for like allowing showers and rec time, I think those are set. The Westville warden is like also in trouble. Like he was renting his house out to his family members, but he was only supposed to be there. I guess like the warden at Westville is given a nearby house by the state, but there are certain rules and he kind of went against it. Anyway, hi, S-Jab. Nice to see you. S-Jab, were you the one who bought me Domino's Pizza last month? Thank you. Ruby says, my aunt was in jail and they cycled underwear. I prefer to use my same underwear. I don't know what to say about that. Hi, Danielle. Do you please complete confidence in the warden's answer, being fully truthful and accurate, because I don't. I just said, I mean, there's certain things that I would think were facts and not just real opinions. Hi, this account. Nice to see you. Thank you for your super sticker. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I actually have another shirt that I made and I smiled because only like 4 people have bought stuff in my online store and I made like $15. So for people who think I'm getting rich off of this, think again. I have a shirt that says it says my family is mortified by me, and somebody bought that, and I smiled when I saw that somebody bought that. So enjoy that at your holiday get-togethers. Malibu says Frank's motion is far-fetched. Can't see the murder of 2 young girls as a sacrifice. I agree. I don't think it was. White supremacist killing 2 white girls. Hi, Shelley. I wondered where you were on Saturday, so I'm glad to see you here today. Meep K. I love how people will make these ultra specific predictions about what will happen in the future. I think they should have predicted Alan's arrest before it happened, but better late than never. Yeah, at this point, I don't know if you're criticizing me, which I'm okay with, but I think we all just need to chill and realize that at the trial is when we're going to finally hear all this evidence, and hopefully it is clear whether or not Rick was Bridge Guy. I don't think he's going to stand up for himself and speak in court and give answers. So since somebody's talking about this, Teresa, again, Teresa's very active in the chat. Well, it's rather suspicious the way Doolin handled it. He didn't go to detectives after seeing Bridge Guy, then forgets or loses the recording of his interview with Rick. I agree. I mean, yeah, give me a second here. Jamie, thank you. I always appreciate all the nice things that you say about me and do. So thank you. I appreciate you. I love you so much. While we're talking about the conservation officer, I have something really quick to show you guys. Because people are like, how did he not? Wait, let me take this off. How did the conservation officer not say to the Unified Command, which is the top 6 like law enforcement officers supposedly in charge of this case? I'm just going to show this from I think it's February 22nd, 2017. This is the end of that conference. Look on the right. That's Doolin. He's exiting the screen. That's the conservation officer. So I'm going to do this. So this is February 22nd, 2017. This guy on the far right, that's the conservation officer, Dan Doolin. So he apparently interviewed Rick. I don't know if it was on a cell phone or a tape recorder. If it was on a cell phone and he says now, oh, I recorded all my interviews, but I can't find Rick's. Why can't the police use that Celebrate software that kind of gets all of the like hidden information on a cell phone? Why can't they try and retrieve that interview with Rick? I don't know. I was going to say something else, but I got distracted by some of these comments in the chat. Yeah, so I don't know. Talking about the conservation officer, I just don't understand how he does not follow up with Liggett and Lesenby saying, what happened with that guy who I interviewed who said he was either there 1:30 to 3:30 or noon to 1:30. Some people are saying, at least the defense was saying, well, maybe the conservation officer was told to seek out people and ask them if they were there between 1:30, which is when supposedly Abby and Libby were dropped off. And then apparently the deaths happened by 3:30. So did the conservation officer say to Rick, were you on the trails between 1:30 and 3:30? And Rick said yes, meaning like I left at 1:30. However, I mean, I would think that somebody would say, okay, well, what time did you arrive specifically and what time did you leave? So this tape recording is very important to see. Did Rick say in 2017, I parked in this next to an old building around 1:30 and I left around 3:30? So I don't know. It's just one of these unfortunate things that mistakes by law enforcement and stuff. And that guy, the conservation officer, I think he's like the chief of the Delphi Fire Department now. Hi, 804 Marty. My feeling is Rick is guilty. Whether or not I'd be able to convict remains to be seen at trial. I agree. But I'm amazed there are people still saying Rick is innocent. He, quote unquote, confessed. I don't know. I did find it interesting that Rick supposedly lost his mind around the time that he called his wife and confessed. I don't know. Time will tell is one of my new phrases. Hopefully, it will tell. Jackie is Ron Logan's biggest enemy. If anything, Ron Logan inserted himself by appearing on TV multiple times. Well, I've said, if you were guilty of killing two girls on your property, would you invite TV station after TV station onto your property and say, okay, here's where they were killed, and think that you would not like start sweating? Rick Allen has never been on TV ever. The guy who was walking his dog on the trails at that time, he was on TV. Flannel shirt guy gave an interview. Obviously, there were certain other people on the trails who did not go on TV. So I'm not saying just because Rick never went on TV that it means he was guilty, but I think that's one reason that points to Ron not being guilty, or at least not being bridge guy. 50 minutes behind. She Elf Johnson, hi. She's reminding people that the information the warden gave was signed under penalty of perjury. Oh my gosh. Precy thought DQ'd meant Dairy Queen. Now I want Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen is a ice cream place. Danielle is surprised in the opposite direction that anyone can be convinced Rick is guilty based on circumstantial evidence presented in media and nothing from trial yet. Yeah, Danielle, I'm sure you saw my coincidences that I just can't get past some of those things. And for me, it's going to kind of take Rick getting on the stand and explaining himself. I know people say, well, it's the job of the prosecutor to prove Rick is guilty. He does not have to prove he's innocent. I've said this before, and people get all triggered. If I was Rick and I truly was on the trails at noon to 1:30, I would have been on TV from the beginning claiming I was falsely arrested. I'm saying like in October 2022, or if I got arrested, I would have sued whoever arrested me and like been on TV saying these people are totally incompetent. I'm totally innocent. And I'm wondering like how much of this discovery has Rick read? Like I would have, you guys know, I'd be like in my prison cell 23 hours a day, nothing else to do. Like if you were wrongly convicted, wouldn't you want to read all this evidence of this unsolved murders in your town? I mean, I'd be writing down things as I go through the evidence saying, well, shows they're saying I'm guilty because of this, and here's the reason why I'm innocent and they're wrong. How much of the discovery evidence has Rick read? And if he has not really read any of it, does that mean or point to it's because he knows he's guilty and he knows what the answer is, or what really happened? Malibu says these big trials are delayed well beyond a reasonable time frame. I've mentioned this before. In Indianapolis, which is a town in Indiana for people who don't know, there was a pastor's wife. Her name was Amanda Blackburn. There was these three young guys who were in a crime spree in the area. The husband went to the gym real early, and the wife was pregnant, and she had a young son. These three guys broke in, and one of the three guys shot and killed her. The two guys who did not shoot her, their trials happened within like a few years. But the main shooter, even though they captured these guys within a few days or weeks, his trial did not start for 6 years after he was arrested. I'm hoping Rick's trial is not 6 years from today. Steve heard the conservation officer, Dan Doolin, might get on the jury. He's going to have to move to Allen County, though. Yeah, who knows if there's going to be a new judge? Who knows which county it will happen in? Hi, CC. Thank you. You don't have to click a thumbs up. Yeah, so people are talking about the potential jury members. I think they can find 12 people. All right, thank you, DWS, for your joining, and ignore the angry wankers. Yeah, people are saying they know people who don't really go on social media or online, so it's going to be interesting. I don't know, this trial is going to be crazy. Danielle says, I think the judge seems a bit questionably incompetent. I mean, yeah, I agree. She's done some things that point to incompetence, and maybe biased as well, referring to another person who's been commenting. I mean, or the defense said that Gull is biased against the defense. However, she denied like the prosecution's request for Rick's mental and medical health records at Westville. So it's not like she's just agreeing to every single thing that the prosecution requests and the defense, and denying anything for the defense. Hi, Gangster Computer God. What has the judge done to make you feel she's incompetent? I must have missed that. Well, one of the things was not putting these filings online. That whole like 118 unsealed documents back in late June, which the murder sheet requested that they be released. And then the court was like, oh, yeah, oops, we didn't properly mark 118 different files. I know that Gull said that it was kind of the clerk's responsibility. However, I don't know, shouldn't she have some responsibility to? What else about the judge? I don't know. I started a spreadsheet, but I don't know. No more spreadsheets. Melly says, if Rick chooses to have Baldwin and Rosie represent him anyway, there is no way he can then claim incompetent counsel on appellate, as he was made aware and chose to ignore. That's a good point. I don't know if it's true that that's what he can do or not. I don't know. If he is truly guilty and he's found guilty, I hope he accepts that for the sake of Abby and Libby's families, just having at least to finally like have a sigh of relief that this is somewhat over, or at least the wondering who did this and will they be held accountable. Also, I mean, I am considering Rick in this entire equation. He is, as people have said, he's not proven guilty yet, and he's in segregation for, it's going to be 2 years. So I do have some compassion for his current circumstances, but if he is guilty, screw him. But I'm not ready to say that yet. I'm waiting for the trial. And also, I mean, I just feel horrible for Rick's wife and his family too. Jennifer, thank you. Merry Christmas to you. Happy Hanukkah to whoever celebrates Hanukkah or Kwanzaa. We have people all over the world who celebrate various stuff, so everybody's welcome here. Salem's Revenge says, I think this case may be transferred to a federal court. Is that even possible? I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong. Gangster Computer God, any judge is going to have a very difficult time managing this case. For Pitbulls, the appeals will be filed over procedures. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can say there is some validity to that. Malibu says, if Rick is sticking with the Frank's motion defense, accusing the Odinists, then those lawyers should stay. Rick can waive his right to claim ineffective assistance of counsel on the record in case of appeal. It's going to be interesting to see if Librato and Scremin stay on and what their defense is going to be. Are they going to say, yeah, it's these Odinists? I don't know. While I'm talking about that, and while I'm criticizing the defense, I'll criticize law enforcement. I did think it was shady that Holman said that he did not know the Purdue professor's name. Every time I say Purdue professor, I get scared. Because I can't say PP in a row. However, so The Purdue professor was interviewed on September 19th, like the day after the Franks memo came out. I can kind of see that Holman wanted to wait to see what was included in the Franks memo before he talked again to the professor. However, him saying that he was not really in contact with him that's shady and not cool. So September 19th of this year, from what I recall, you guys can correct me in the chat. The professor from Purdue said he was shown sketches from the crime scene of the branches on Abby and Libby. So I would assume, or at least hope, that whoever drew that sketch made it very similar to what the actual photographs showed. I've not seen the photographs of the crime scene. I don't want to. He said it was a given that whoever put the branches on Abby and Libby's bodies was trying to replicate Germanic runic script. And as I've said previously, that basically means like old ass letters and symbols from like a German alphabet or whatever. However, he said he could not interpret that script. So it makes me wonder, like, it's not like he said, okay, on Abby's body, these 3 branches are the symbol, whatever. On Libby's body, these 4 branches are whatever letter or symbol. And on the F tree, that is an F or an Fehu or an Ansu's symbol. And taken all 3 together, it means this message was left by Odinus. The professor could not interpret what those branches exactly meant. So to me, as a jury member, I don't know that I would really think, okay, yeah, definitely that was Odinus leaving a message if somebody can't say what the message was. So that was that. Tiff says, I think Gull was pissed because Frank's memo was so long and so much work for her. Yeah, I tried to ask somebody, how much help do judges have reading this stuff? So I guess Gull said there was like 1,500 pages total. I'm just curious to know how much of it would she actually read and how much of those like 7 hours of depositions would she watch? And what other like caseload does she have to really get this stuff all in? Yeah, Charmaine was one of the nice people who purchased 2 items. Has everyone checked out Tom's store? My mug and hoodie are my favorite new items and fast shipping. Thank you, Charmaine. You're so nice. Yeah, under this video, after it's done, my store will pop up under the video if you want anything. And no, I don't make a lot of money off of these murders of children. And at the beginning, I did show, for people who are just joining, there is the Abby and Libby memorialpark.org website. You can buy some stuff. I bought 2 of the $100 things. I gave $200 to the Abby and Libby Memorial Park. I gave $100 each to the Abby and Libby. Abby has a scholarship fund. Libby has a scholarship fund. And also I gave $125 to the Flora Foundation, which that's a whole nother mess. That whatever. Anyway, so I have given away some money. Don't think I'm just like collecting cash over here. The Unhinged. Hey, love the shirt. Thank you. What are you unhinged about? Let's see. RC99, hello. People pretend that the defense invented the Odin stuff when it was a huge part of the file received from law enforcement. I totally agree with you. That all that Odin stuff was from law enforcement reports. However, I really want to know, why did the Unified Command not arrest those Odinists? Like, what evidence do they have that made them move forward? And if so, like, why did the defense really not acknowledge that? Because it seems like the defense still had not received quite a bit of evidence before they filed this September 18th, which kind of leads you to wonder, at least leads me to wonder, why did they file on September 18th and not wait for more evidence? High criminality. I think there are multiple leaks. Well, I agree that, I mean, people are criticizing the defense, which I've said Baldwin necessarily didn't know that Westerman would have gone in there taken photos with his cell phone and then shared it with people. And I agree that people in law enforcement have revealed information, because Barbara McDonald showed, I guess, the branches, and she got that from law enforcement. So how is it different for law enforcement to leak information to a reporter than it is for like somebody in Baldwin's office taking pictures of the crime scene and sharing with other people? That's that, I guess. I was going to say something else about leaks, but I lost my thought. Chris wants to know, do you guys believe Rick Allen could also be involved with the Jordan Sofer or Lyric Cook and Elizabeth Collins cases? Jordan Sofer, I just looked at this real quick. She was, I think, a teenager who was found maybe in the woods near Peru or Mexico, Indiana, which is kind of where Rick was living maybe at that time. Lyric Cook and Elizabeth Collins, that is known as the Evansdale case. I don't know, Jordan. Did people ask you or reply to your question? Hi, Southern Sweet Tea. Conversion means someone paid him to do it. You're talking about Mitch Westerman. He's charged with taking the photos. Hello, Babu's Frick. I always want to say freak. Prosecution being part of the leak is a narrative that has been seeded by people on Reddit. Somebody said they don't like my narrative that I'm pushing. I'm not pushing any narrative. Like, what's my narrative? I've said I don't think I've never said that Rick is guilty and that I'm waiting for the trial for the final evidence. So just because I criticize the defense and point out things that I think point towards Rick's guilt doesn't mean I'm really pushing a narrative, but you can think what you want. Hi, Annie. It's always nice to see you. Thank you for loving me, and happy holidays to you. Hi, Nedra. Nice to see you. Weren't you taking a nap yesterday or Saturday? I don't think they want to do this case pro bono. I don't know. Some people have said that maybe Baldwin is writing a book about his career. And if he's not the lawyer at the trial, who's going to really want to buy his book if there's no chapters about the trial? That's just a rumor. I'm not saying it's true, but excuse me. Where's KT recovers to count how many burps I have during my live chats? So embarrassing. Anyway, please be nice to each other in the chat. I saw somebody said to shut up to somebody, but please be nice. I'm not in the screen where I can ban people. So do I have any mods right now? Anyway, hi, Hybrid. Nice to see you. Hi, Son of Liberty. I don't like to highlight anything that has a curse word because lots of families sit around the fireplace watching my live chats. Oh my gosh, I'm kidding. Malibu says, it is reasonable to think that the jury will ultimately decide not guilty. I keep hoping that there is so much evidence that will be revealed that is stronger than circumstantial pieces. I mean, we don't know what we don't know. That's like a phrase that people say, you don't know what you don't know. So I think that's important for us to keep in mind. There was like a lot of, let me see if I can find this real quick. In the Frank's manifesto, there was a list of good things pointing towards Rick's innocence. That after Holman and Liggett were deposed last August, hold on, or please stand by. I'm looking through my 200 slides, my PowerPoint slides from my manifesto video. And I'm looking for these things like where the defense said, crap. Technical difficulties. The defense said a list of things that show that Rick is innocent. Awkward silence. Hold on. or please stand by. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Is anybody having a good time? I'm not looking to see how many people are watching this mess. All right, here we go. I'm going to just review this real quick. Okay. Page 129 of the Frank's Manifesto. Part 5, Rick has no ties to Odinism or any religious cult and has no ties to the crime scene. Liggett testified there is no DNA linking Rick to the crime scene, and he is unaware of anything that links Rick to the crime. Sorry, back that thing up like Rick does to the CPS building. And he is unaware of anything that links Rick to the crime through his phone, computers, or electronics. Well, what about his car data? That's one of the biggest things I'm concerned about. Liggett testified he is unaware of any evidence that links Rick to any weird religious cult group. Holman testified there is no DNA linking Rick to the crime scene. No data extracted from Rick's phone connects him to the murders. No data extracted from Libby's phone connected Rick to the murders. There is no evidence that Rick is or was connected to any other suspects in the case. There is no evidence found on social media that connects Rick to the murders. There is no evidence extracted from Rick's computers that connects him to the murders. And finally, there is no fingerprint evidence that connects Rick to the murders. So I pointed out in my 7-hour video that, thank you to anybody who actually made it through it, that the defense curiously left out certain information that's kind of important from this Frank's memo. Not once did they bring up the 1:27 p.m. Hoosier Harbor Store camera, which is supposedly Rick's car headed towards CPS. Not once did they bring up the 2:10 p.m. eyewitness saying that there was a car that kind of resembled Rick's car backed up to CPS. Not once did they bring up the 2:28 p.m. witness saying that there was a car at CPS that did not look like the old 1965 car that witness 4 said she saw around 2:15. They just kept talking about this old car from the 1960s at CPS, trying to make it seem like it could not be Rick's car, yet they totally ignored other things that pointed towards it possibly being Rick's car. So, as I said before, one of the things I'm most curious to know, if you guys saw my evidence against Richard Allen video, I did some research, and Rick's Ford Focus and anybody's like more modern car, there's a computer that has a lot of data showing where you were and what you did, including at what time you opened your trunk. So this is just an example. And one of my main concerns was the delay of 5.5 years of arresting Rick. Did his car computer data get overwritten because it's so long ago? Rick only worked a few minutes from his house at CVS, so I don't know how many miles and how much data his car computer had. So I'm just hoping that this car data, either for good or for bad, will prove if Rick truly was at CPS from only noon to 1:30. So that's something that was not mentioned in this list as being helpful to Rick. So what are you guys thinking when you see this list? Is there certain things that stand out to you and certain things that are missing? Because some people have said, well, this doesn't really reference whether Abby and Libby's DNA was connected to Rick's car or to anything found at Rick's house. So that's that. I'm now an hour and 3 minutes behind comments. Oh God, help me. How many people are watching? 338. All right. How long? An hour and 58 minutes. It seems like my new time limit is 2 hours and 59 minutes, which is exactly 1 hour from now. We'll see what happens. Yeah, let's go with that. 1 more hour or less. Hooky said, Judge Gull said in the Chambers meeting with Baldwin, Rosie, and McClelland, we agreed that we don't want the press in our lives. So she cared more about herself and not about the case. I think the we don't want the press in our lives was a quote by the defense only to Gull, and not Gull saying that. my gosh, I don't know what's going on in the comments here. "804 Marty, I hope it's proven that Rick is Bridge Guy." Thank you for bringing this up because I just forgot a point that I just wanted to talk about. "I want him convicted from Libby's phone evidence, just like Murdoch's murder victim's son got his killer convicted with his own phone evidence." Yeah, so I don't really watch any trials, but I did watch the I forget what his name is, Alex Murdaugh. I don't know how to pronounce it. You know what I'm talking about. His trial was extremely impressive with the car data and the phone data that pretty much proved that this guy killed his wife and his son. Regarding the phone, 16 of Rick's phones were taken on October 13th, 2022. What kind of evidence was there? I mean, this just said, I'm not going to bring it up on screen, but it says, "No data extracted from Rick's phone connects him to the murders." Well, where did it show where he was at 2:13 p.m.? I don't know. And does it show that he was looking at a stock ticker? And just like this whole like premise that Rick even went there at noon, he walks to platform 1 of the bridge, and then he said he sat on a bench. So he was there for 90 minutes, walks to the bridge. The water was cloudy, so you really couldn't see anything below. I don't know, it just seems weird to me that some 44-year-old guy on a Monday at lunchtime is just going to sit on a bench in like 43-degree weather. No comment. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. And he did not see anybody for like 85 minutes after he saw the girls when he first arrived at noon. We know that there were other people walking around, so I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see how many witnesses will show up at the trial. Obviously, they have to show up, hopefully, and say, yes, I was on the trails between noon and 1:30. I went here, there, wherever. I never saw anybody matching Rick Allen. So that's something to look forward to. Hi, Lynn. The Sixth Amendment does not provide the defendant the right to choose their appointed counsel. Hi, Brandy. Thank you. People getting triggers me. It's your channel. Do what you want. All right. Thank you. Hi, this account. Does anyone have any idea when this stuff will be decided approximately? No. Well, so the hearing is January 18th, 11 a.m. Eastern. For people joining, I might do a live chat because it's going to be live streamed by the Supreme Court of Indiana. Whether or when it's going to be decided, it's going to be a written opinion. It will not be, we're not going to get any answers on January 18th. You would think or hope, since it's such a big case and there's like a lot of stuff up in the air, that they would do it fairly soon after. Hi, Illegally Blonde. Nice to see you. Thank you. Yeah, Rachel, good point. The only thing that would shock me at this point is a well-run professional trial going forward. Yeah. Malibu says that Frank's motion was not quality legal drafting. For me, the line of defense outlined in the Frank's motion is absurd. Well, as somebody just said before, most of that's like all of that odinous stuff was from police reports. However, I don't know how much of the evidence those 3 officers were given access to. Ferenczi, Click, and hello. I can't see your comments. There were 3 guys who kind of not zoomed in, but focused on these odinous suspects. They wrote several reports saying, yeah, we think these guys could be the murderers, and the Unified Command never arrested those odinists. some people said that they didn't, law enforcement really did not follow up with these Odinists. However, I mean, I saw some things that they did. I mean, they interviewed the sisters of this one guy who confessed. EF are his initials. They interviewed the sisters at least 3 times. One of them, the first 2 times police interviewed her, she denied that her brother said anything incriminating. And then the third time, he said whatever, that he was at the crime scene. I don't know. Yeah, 4 pit bulls makes a good point. There are a lot of outstanding motions that were filed that are just, there haven't been any kind of hearing to come up with some kind of resolution. Hi, Gen X Granny, nice to see you. Stop lurking. Malibu says the Franks motion was as, oh, I thought it was shady. The Franks motion was as shoddy as Gull's adherence to court rules. Yeah, thank you, Charmaine. I guess Charmaine gave 10 free memberships. They're not that great, so you're not missing out. But thank you, Charmaine, for your generosity as always. Hi, brown-eyed girl. Where were you? Yeah, I tried to, yeah, I saw that I can gift 5 memberships, but I can't figure it out, so I'm so sorry. I'm not kidding, like, but I'm kind of busy right now. It said I can push the money icon in YouTube, but it only says super sticker or super chat. Charmaine, any advice? Just looking for some comments we haven't talked about. Sorry, it's awkward silence, but it's awkward when I talk too, so. All right, I'm 1 hour behind. I'm gonna scroll through. Sorry, I'm like going over a bunch of comments. Salem's Revenge. Didn't Nick McClelland say that he was ready to go to trial in the chamber transcript? I forget. There's so many facts you have to remember for this case, but I think so. I mean, he said he was ready to, or he said he handed over all of the evidence, or that he was going, yeah, he said that he was, because the defense set a November 1st deadline. And at some point, McClelland said, we have finally handed over all of the discovery evidence, which in my manifesto video, I criticized law enforcement and the prosecution because there is an issue with them not handing over evidence in a timely fashion. I don't know what the source of that issue is and the delay. It just seems like they did not have any centralized location for all this evidence, which to me it's concerning. It's like there was these 6 guys, I think 6 or 7 guys who comprised the unified command who were in charge of this investigation, which the investigation needs to be investigated because it did not go very well. I don't know, it's just concerning to me that they couldn't be like, oh, let me look up this information in this one location, like on one server or whatever. I don't know. Anyway. I'm not frozen. I'm just like, I've said this before, like in some work video conference calls, like people have said, Tom, your camera froze. And I'm like, no, I just don't move for 10 seconds sometimes. So blink, Tom, blink. All right, here we go. This is a good point. I've never seen your screen name before though, but hi and welcome. Naven Man? That new attorney of Rick's said in one statement prior to being appointed, prosecution has strong case to that unspent round being found. Yeah, Scremin was on a TV station. I guess just as like an expert before the defense got fired. And he said that I guess the unspent round could be helpful to the prosecution to convict Rick. But as I said before, the prosecution only has to show that Rick was bridge guy, not necessarily that he was at the crime scene. Obviously, any extra evidence that they could prove that Rick is involved is going to be good. Hi, Digital. Half think defense is incompetent, other half think Gull is incompetent. Yeah, lots of different opinions, and that's okay. Hi, Son of Liberty. I've seen some questionable mistakes in transcripts. I don't know what was said in that call unless until I hear the call. I guess you're talking about Rick's supposed confession. Sorry, government. It isn't that I don't believe you. Well, yes, it is. Okay, so I mean, I don't know that, like, would the prosecution say we had this call transcribed? In it, Rick Allen admits several times that he killed Abby and Libby. That call is going to be submitted at the trial. So would they really lie? I don't know. Apparently you think so. Matt Super Chat, was there more news or just the same live chat as the last 4 or 5? There was some more information that I've talked about that I've never talked about before. But that was an hour ago that you said that, so maybe you left and moved on with your life. Can I move on with my life? Oh my God. Anyway. Aspen Connor, you're still here, or you were an hour ago? The jury will be instructed to decide if Rick committed a felony kidnapping resulting in the deaths of the girls beyond any reasonable doubt. That's it. That's what the jury will be tasked with. Hi, Marissa. McClelland had only just had funding for approved. Why can't I read this? Sorry, I need a nap. Starting again. Marissa, McClelland had only just had funding approved for another lawyer. That indicates to me prosecution was not ready to go in January. So this guy, Luttrell, I think that's his last name, he showed up at this October 19th hearing. He's the guy who sat next to Nick, and he's follically challenged on top of his head. Anyway, I don't know, Marissa. Hi, Ivy. I think in Westerman's mind, he was just sharing with a friend, this RF guy, and did not expect them to get leaked to so many people, to so many more people. I agree, but the fact is that it went to so many people. Hi, Big Fish, Small Pond. Nice to see you. Is his current defense not working on the case until the Supreme Court hears the writ? Or why do you think they have done nothing whatsoever for over a month? They're reading. Yeah, hopefully they're reading the evidence and not eating it. We don't know what they're doing or not. They obviously have not filed anything. I assume you're not supposed to assume. Maybe they're reading the discovery and trying to figure out what they're going to do if they are kept on, but they're waiting to file anything officially before, I don't know. I was going to say before January 18th, but this official ruling from the Supreme Court might not be for a few weeks or months after January. I don't know. Do you want me to call them for you, Big Fish, Small Pond? Hooky Brooks, the defense team overwhelmed Slick Nick with the many motions they filed. Remember all the work you had to put into that Frank's motion? Oh my God, every day for 7 weeks. Nick had to answer to this and all the motions as well. I don't know what to say. I'm not like disagreeing with you or anything like that. I just don't know what to say. Oh my God. Doodle is getting triggered by Jackie saying Ron Logan is bridge guy. It's okay. If she wants to believe that, she can. If you want to believe anything different than all of us or not, whatever, whatever. Think what you want. Hopefully, we will get some kind of solid answers at this trial. And it has nothing to do with us. I'm not acting like I deserve any answers or any of you. It's about Abby and Libby and their families, and also about Rick and his families finally hearing the truth, hopefully. Salem's Revenge says, I think Rick has something he is guilty of. If Carroll County wanted to hem someone up for the crime, why not say Ron Logan did it? He cannot deny it because he's deceased. That's a good point. Necessary Evil says, Gull offered Baldwin and Rosie a hearing. They decided to withdraw instead. Baldwin and Rosie were the ones that called that meeting with Gull. I mean, I agree. I can see both sides of it because the defense was like, we want all of these hearings to be televised so people can see how the legal system works. And then when it came to them like being called out for incompetence, they're like, where's the back door? I mean, I can see how they did not want to go out there without knowing what was about to happen. But I don't know, on some level, I'm like, well, why not go out there and see what's going to be presented? And you can say out there, well, we were not prepared for this. So can we have another hearing later to officially either disqualify us or whatever? I don't know. I can see both sides of it. This account is the discovery, which means evidence for people who don't know, passed on to the potential new lawyers, or does everything come to a halt until a decision is made? So Gull told Baldwin and Rosie to hand all of their evidence back to McClelland within about a week of that October 19th hearing, and then it was going to be passed over to Scremin and Labrato. Hi, Ellie Joe. Nice to see you. Where's Malgorzata from Poland? This is a great time for her, so she doesn't have to stay up into the middle of the night watching my live chats. Let's see. Oh my God. I can't highlight some of these things. Hi, Jim. Did Rick have an online presence before the murders? I mean, this thing here, I'm looking at my thing. The defense said Holman testified there is no evidence found on social media that connects Rick to the murders. Some people have found like a Poshmark or something, and maybe one other thing, one other website, where the screen name was Oz Pep, and it said Kathy Allen, which is Rick's wife's name. Ozzy was their black cat that got buried, or supposedly buried in their backyard. That when Rick was first arrested, I'm sure you guys remember, people said, oh, Rick stole tools from his neighbor's garage, which is a felony. So they took his DNA and it matched the crime scene, which we obviously know now. That wasn't true. They also said Rick's cat hair led to his conviction or whatever, his arrest. Perp number 2, sorry. I've never seen anything about Rick having social media. I'm sure the prosecution will present it if they found anything that would point towards Rick, I don't know, having some kind of motive for the murders. Was he looking at inappropriate CSAM, and that was kind of a motive for seeing Abby and Libby get undressed to do stuff? I don't know. We'll see. Son of Liberty says they demanded a speedy trial right before Gull stripped Allen of his counsel, right? Seems like that's shaky legal ground. No. So from what I remember, Rosie had Rick sign this request for speedy trial in August. By 2 months later, they had still not officially filed it. They said that they were going to file it in October, but it's like, I don't know. The trial was supposed to happen January 8th, which is crazy to think it should have been happening in a few weeks. One more comment from Jackie, and then I'll move on from it. Jackie, I want you to at least be given a chance to say what you want to say, even though it's against what I think. It's okay. I'm talking about blaming the man, Ron Logan, that the FBI believed was Bridge Guy. Baldwin and Rosie never mentioned Ron Logan, unless I'm mistaken. You would know, yes. In the 136-page Frank's memorandum, Kegan Kline, Tony Kline, and Ron Logan were not mentioned one time by the defense team. The defense team has seen all of the evidence, Jackie. So if there was any kind of evidence that pointed towards Ron Logan being Bridge Guy, don't you think the defense would have included that? I mean, they're looking for ways to take attention away from Rick as being Bridge Guy. I mean, they definitely would have included it if they had decent evidence against Ron. And I agree with you that the FBI believed Ron was Bridge Guy. They wrote that to get a search warrant in March of 2017. After that search warrant, they never charged Ron Logan for whatever, 5 years. So I don't know. It seems to me like they never found evidence that Ron was Bridge Guy or involved in the murders. So that's that. What else was I was thinking about something. I don't know. Hi, Elaine. How do people not think Rick is not Bridge Guy? He admitted he was there at the time and wore the clothes witnesses described. Well, a few things about this. So the PCA said Rick was there between 1:30 and 3:30. However, the defense is saying Rick left at 1:30, arrived at noon, and that was written down on that tip incorrectly because the conservation officer was supposed to look for people on the trails between 1:30 and 3:30. Technically, Rick leaving at 1:30 means he was there. So Rick is saying he was at home soon after 1:30, which I want to see the surveillance video from around town. Is there video of Rick's car at 1:35 heading back home? Obviously, we know that the Hoosier Harbor store was mentioned at 1:27 with Rick's car, which would have been coming from the long way from his home. I don't know where he came from, if other than his home. So it was not mentioned that Rick's car was seen at any point leaving on Hoosier Harbor store camera. I don't know. I mean, I would think that if the prosecution had some kind of video from town at like 4:05 p.m. showing Rick's car, they would have included that in the PCA. I don't know. So Elaine, technically Rick has not said, yes, I was on the trails at 2:13 p.m. or on the bridge. Oh my God. Look at Gen X Granny. Why is Tom Webster mortified by his social media? Please point me to the post. Anything where I'm making fun of the news where I lie on my bed and tell bad jokes. Anyway. Anybody who likes my making fun of the news, which is like 3 people. This morning, I didn't really do it much in 2023, but I'm editing a compilation of hopefully some of the best jokes from that. So look for that in the next week or so. Regardless if Angie Pangie, I haven't seen you in a while. Regardless if Baldwin and Rosie come back to try case, if it's a guilty verdict, it will be appealed. There are so many reasons. Unless Rick feels like, one of my things was, did Rick call his wife on April 3rd because he was presented some kind of evidence where he felt like there's no way I can explain this away. I have to tell my wife that I'm guilty. So is there going to be evidence presented at the trial where Rick is like, if they say I'm guilty, I'm just going to accept my fate? Time will tell. Hopefully. Teresa says, Rick did not say what clothes he was wearing until 2022. Hello? 2022. He said he was wearing a black or blue jacket. His wife said he still has a blue Carhartt jacket, which from all the Carhartt jackets I've seen, it's like a heavier material, but I think we could all agree on one thing at least, that Bridge Guy's, the material of his jacket seems to be lighter because you can see something like an outline in the front pocket. So I don't know. Also, it appears until 2022, he did not admit that he was on platform 1 on the bridge. So if you're Tony Liggett and you've been waiting for so long to find Bridge Guy, you knew that witness 4 saw somebody on platform 1 matching the clothes that Bridge Guy wore. She said she turned around. 2.5 minutes later, she passes Abby and Libby headed towards the bridge. Where am I going with this? I mean, it just seems like a huge coincidence that Rick was on platform 1, possibly wearing jeans and a dark jacket with a head covering, just like Bridge Guy. I don't know. These are some of the things that I just can't get past in relation to Rick being innocent or guilty. Salem's Revenge, yes. Did Rick say he was hiring private counsel at one of the first pretrial hearings and then wrote a letter to the judge claiming he was too poor to afford it? Correct. Danielle, exactly. We don't know what the real evidence is yet. Crime scene evidence will be huge, in my opinion. Shelley says, it seems like from day one, with all parties involved, has been much more secretive than most cases I followed. Yeah, I mean, like the prosecution did pretty much, or not the prosecution, investigators did pretty much keep some of this information about the crime scene pretty secretive for many years. Now looking back, there were rumors about the branches and a letter possibly being written on the bodies or the tree. But for the most part, I would say that law enforcement did a fairly good job of keeping evidence secretive. 32 more minutes left in this live chat. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not acting like I'm perfect with my grammar and stuff like that, but and I know people will say that the judge, or not the judge, like the lawyers, Baldwin's strong suit might be strategy and not commas, not spelling people's name correctly. But I don't know. I just think if you reference the prosecutor's last name 20 times in a document and you get it wrong 16 out of the 20 times, it's just like not really a good look about competency. I guess people are talking about Rick having 16 phones. Well, there were 3 people living in his house, Rick, his wife, and his daughter. So over, I don't know, 10 plus years, I guess they could accumulate a fair number of phones. Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you guys this. This is like important news for true crime people. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about geofence warrants. This is something that like a police officer, maybe in this case, which I heard that they didn't really do this for a while, but I'm not sure. So a police officer could say, okay, here's the crime scene on a Google map where Abby and Libby's bodies were found. We want to know from Google, is there any data showing which cell phones were in this area between 2:15 p.m. and 4 p.m. on February 13th? So that ability for law enforcement to submit these warrants to Google for specific areas trying to help solve criminal cases based on whose phone showed up in a certain location at a certain time, that's no longer going to be available. No more geofence warrants for police. Google, I think, is changing where they store that information. So they used to store that on the Google servers, but now it's going to be stored on people's individual phones. So not great news for police hoping to use Google data to figure out who's near a crime scene. So that was something I wanted to share with you guys. Stephanie says, I think Rick is involved. Still think more than one perp. Well, if this transcript of this call is correct, it said he admitted he killed Abby and Libby. So why would he not say, okay, I was Bridge Guy, but Ron Logan was on the other side of the creek, or anybody else? I don't know. Don't know the answer. Digital, do you think the prosecutor will call witness 4 as a witness? Hell yeah. Are you saying because he would not, because she said the guy she saw on platform 1 was a young guy that does not match Rick? I don't know. I mean, I know that there's this big debate about Muddy Witness saying she saw a guy who was wearing a tan jacket and not a blue coat or whatever. And the defense, like this main reason for the Frank's memorandum was because the defense wanted to say that Tony Liggett lied to get the search warrant of Rick's house. But the defense kept repeatedly referring to the 2017 interview of Muddy Witness. So in 2018 and after, did Muddy Witness, who was driving on 300 and around 3:57 p.m., did she later say, okay, yes, maybe he was wearing a darker or blue colored coat? That's stuff that we're just gonna have to wait until these people get on the stand and give their final testimony. USA Libertarian is not happy with me. Tons of typos and errors in the prosecution's filings too, so just stop. I wouldn't say tons. I mean, if you saw my Frank's Manifesto thing, I have a spreadsheet of like over 60 errors that are just like totally inexcusable. However, I do agree with you that even Gull's filings have errors. The prosecution, so I know people have accused me of working for the prosecution, which is not true at all. I will say this, however, I have criticized McClelland, and in October of this year, he filed like 2 different things, and one it said faces, FACES, and I was like, what the hell is that word supposed to be? And it should have been facts. And there's also one other thing the prosecutor filed, and I think he said something like that would be good for the state, but it was obvious that he should have said it would have been bad for the state. So he made that error. The only time I've ever contacted McClelland was, as you know, is to point out his errors. So I did that in maybe it's late September, October of this year. I sent it after 10 p.m. and McClelland replied to me within about 15 to 20 minutes after 10 p.m. on a weekday. So I have criticized him before, including saying that I don't think he I guess submitted something to the Carroll County Council saying I need $5,000 more because I'm working more than 36 hours a week. And I criticize that. However, if I criticize somebody, I'm also going to point out a good aspect of what they've done. And I was impressed that he replied after 10 p.m. within 15 to 20 minutes. Like, I don't know. I was just impressed with that. So yes, everybody makes mistakes. And I just think that the defense is more incompetent than the prosecutor. So he replied, he was just like, yeah, I made an error. Thank you. So then the first one was just saying that I think you should have said it was bad for the state. He replied, yeah, I made a mistake. Thanks. And then I replied, oh, yeah. And this other one you said faces instead of facts, but he did not reply to that one. He's over me. All right, let's see. Teresa says, I've heard there actually is an old Farm Bureau building. Yeah, people have tried to convince me that that's true, but there is somewhere in the town of like the center of Delphi. How much more time do I have left? 25 minutes. That was referred to as the old Farm Bureau building. It makes no sense to me that Rick lives somewhat near the trails. Why would he park like in the center of town and then walk towards the trails instead of parking at the CPS building? Doesn't make sense to me. Hi, Untamable. Strangely, so much pertinent evidence is missing or undocumented in this case. Yeah, as I said before, there needs to be an investigation into this investigation because they screwed up. I'm now like an hour and a half behind on comments. Let me skip a bunch of stuff. I guess people are being rude. Moderators, just feel free to ban anybody. Too many people show up at these things anyway. Stephanie says, still don't understand why they noted no signs of a struggle. That was in the Ron Logan search warrant. Some people have wondered if there was a word missing or it was added saying that there were signs of a struggle. I don't know. People have said, could the F tree, which has Libby's blood, could she have like stuck up her hand and the knife went into her hand and then like blood was coming out onto the tree? I don't know. I know that I think it was Abby's uncle said to somebody on text message that the only DNA would have come from Libby's fingernails because she fought like hell or something like that. I don't know. As with all this stuff, we need to wait until the evidence is presented at the trial because it's just all a bunch of rumors until then. Steve thinks that Rick went to the trails to smoke pot. Maybe. I was actually curious to see if the October 13th search of Rick's house included any like drugs, including pot, and it did not, as far as I remember. It did not have any pot listed or whatever, marijuana. Danielle says, the apparent lack of blood at the crime scene is very interesting to me. I'm highly interested in the crime scene info. I think that was the defense who said that. And I know it was interesting that they said that Abby really did not have a lot of blood, but didn't they say that at least Libby's body was moved? Because I guess they kind of insinuated that Libby was maybe killed near this F tree and then dragged over by Abby, which I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. Ruby said defense would have to show random unspent rounds also matched in order to disprove. I mean, I was just thinking like, I know some people said, okay, well, Ron Logan allowed people to hunt on his property. So it could have been an unspent round from the 53 years that Ron lived there or even before. I don't know. It just seems very, I don't know, like 2 feet from these girls' bodies is an unspent round. And it does seem possible to me that, I mean, we've heard that bridge guy pulls back the top of the gun to intimidate Abby and Libby at the end of the bridge to get them to go down the hill. Oh my God, burp number 3, sorry. Oh, Lordy. Hopefully that's the holiday gift to make you all laugh at me. Anyway, I mean, it makes sense that whoever bridge guy is, he goes up to Abby and Libby, pulls back the top of the gun to intimidate them. That would bring up a round or a cartridge. However, whatever happens next, they go over to the crime scene. We know that Libby was found totally naked. One of my supposed or potential motives would be that this person, possibly Rick, who went to the trails often, had some kind of, I don't know, desire to see 2 teenage girls touch each other. So did he at some point pull back the gun near the crime scene to get them to get naked or to do stuff to each other? So that popped out that earlier round onto the ground. It seems odd to me that would have popped out near where the bodies were found. So I wonder, did he pick it up at some point, put it in his jacket, and as he was like moving the bodies around and getting branches and stuff, did that round fall onto the ground, unbeknownst to him, fall under some kind of leaves? As he's walking around the bodies doing stuff, did he step on it into the ground? I don't know. It seems like a possible explanation for the round being there, but there are other possible explanations. Some people said, oh, well, maybe it was law enforcement. I don't know. I just think it's more unlikely that there would be police standing near these bodies like 2 feet away, and they're going to like randomly have one of their bullets fall onto the ground. I don't know. I'm sure some people think that's possible. I don't know what that's all about. Danielle is having a hard time putting together in her head how one person could manage this crime on their own, especially given the circumstances. That's a big part of what trips me up with Rick. I agree with that somewhat, but remember, he did have a gun. And I mean, I'm just curious, as I'm sure a lot of you are also. We know that they were stabbed. So how do you stab one girl without the other one running away? I don't know. As I've shown in my first Delphi video, there's like that white thing under Bridge Guy's neck or whatever at the top of his jacket. I don't know if it was white rope that he tied maybe one of them to a tree or something while he stabbed the first one, and then he left with the rope. I don't know. I don't know. I agree with that, Danielle, but somebody made a good point that if Libby was totally naked, which she obviously was, is a teenage girl going to be like kind of too embarrassed to even run away from the situation? Because I mean, does she really want to run onto 300 totally naked? I know it's obviously like, well, the alternative is to be stabbed, but who knows what was going through their minds. Precy asks, how many people think the Indiana government or cops are covering for the killer and making Rick a patsy? There are some people who think that. I do not think that. Elaine, speaking about the bullet, which is technically called a cartridge, the bullet is at like one end of it. Is it just me, or is it weird to have a bullet or a cartridge in a keepsake box in your bedroom? I think some people have commented on that previously on my live chats and said you kind of like keep your first cartridge from your gun or something like that. I don't know. It will be interesting to see if Rick ever gave some kind of, was asked that question, or if his wife even had an answer for why he would have had it there. We are finally down to a countdown of like 15 more minutes. Oh my God, I'm so far. Oh my God, I'm so far behind. All right. I'm still an hour. I'm scrolling through. Sorry for everybody who I missed your comments. Unfortunately, that's the way a Tom live chat goes, but right, I'm now 1 hour behind. Oh my gosh. I feel so bad that I missed all these comments. I'm sorry. Hopefully you guys were chatting with each other while I was rambling on. Oh my gosh. Hi, who dis? We still don't have access to them even after Gull ordered the clerk to put them back. That's about the missing documents on my case. Danielle, you're getting a lot of comments highlighted. You're so lucky. Another good question is, what was Liggett's motivation to lie about Muddy Witness? As I said before, I don't know for certain that he did lie. We need to see every single interview that Muddy Witness gave to see if she changed her description of the jacket to something other than tan. Obviously, it does seem odd to me that if somebody says they saw somebody wearing a lighter tan colored jacket, that's really not similar to navy blue. The other issue was that he said that she said the guy at 357 on 300 was bloody. Some people lost their minds that I said it does seem like a reasonable thing. If you ask somebody what is a characteristic of somebody who appeared to have been in a fight, so she said it looked like he had been in a fight. Like, what are characteristics? A black eye or bloody clothes? I mean, crumpled up clothes? I don't know. So it does seem possible to me that a characteristic of somebody who looked like they were in a fight would be blood on their clothing. So I don't know. Feel free to disagree. Thank you, Hudis, for clarifying this earlier point. It cannot be in a federal court since it is not federal charges. Thank you. Just saying what else we haven't talked about. Hi, Cheryl. I try to be nice to everybody. And also, I mean, people complain that I am one-sided in some of my stuff, but I mean, I've complained and criticized about everybody, including myself and my viewers and Gull, the defense, the prosecution, the investigator. So if you want to, I don't know, whatever. Hi, Luna Blue. I am also undecided about guilt or innocence. I'm waiting for the trial and the evidence. Hi, Son of Liberty. I've already said hi to you, actually. We only have 12 more minutes, and I'm stopping at exactly 2 hours and 59 minutes. Oh, Jackie is criticizing me. It's more than shady on behalf of Holman withholding the Purdue professor stuff. That's withholding exculpatory evidence for Rick. I mean, I agree that it's more than shady. Whether it's exculpatory evidence for Rick, I don't know that. Because as I said before, the professor never said, okay, this is an Odinist, and this is the message that those branches meant. Like, who's to say that Rick did not know about Odinist symbols? So I don't know that it's necessarily exculpatory. Just hiding the Purdue professor's latest whatever analysis. Hi, Kennedy. I don't think I've seen you in a while. I'll update my spreadsheet on attendance. These initials are for the conservation officer. The conservation officer should have considered Rick an immediate person of interest. Rick placed himself at the trails. The conservation officer only made notation to follow up on the 3 female juveniles. Why? They had surveillance of vehicle. Rick told the conservation officer he saw them. The conservation officer, who knows how much evidence he knew about? I think that this tip, I don't know, it's just like such a cluster. It's crazy. I mean, if it turns out that Rick is innocent, then law enforcement not properly following up on his tip in 2017 really didn't have a big deal. But if he's guilty, obviously it's a huge error. I don't know. I just don't think that Liggett, Holman, Lesenby, these other unified command guys saw this tip that said this guy said he was on the trails between 1:30 and 3:30. I mean, that's what the tip said. Whether it was true that Rick said that, it's kind of irrelevant. I don't know. It's a mess. USA Libertarian says the jury will have to make a judgment call on the runes. Yes. So this was before I asked how much help would Gull have reading the 1,500 pages related to the Franks memo. Jackie says, I think Gull would need to read and watch it herself. she would need to have an understanding about it to rule on a Frank's hearing. Well, I made the point, Baldwin and Rosie signed off on the Frank's memo, and I just don't think that either one of them wrote that thing or read the entire thing. So how does it show how competent they are that they're submitting a 136-page memorandum that they have not fully read through? I just can't imagine like an attorney reading through this 136 pages and seeing all these errors and being like, oh yeah, that's fine. We're going to write Tony Liggett's name 6 times on one page, and we're going to spell it with 2 T's 3 times and with 1 T 3 times. It's a mess. We're down to less than 10 minutes. Can I end early? It went by pretty quick. All right, let me scroll through a bunch of things that I missed. Oh my gosh. At least I finally made a relevant point. The GPS puts Logan in the area. Yeah, well, I said there's this 209 phone call that Ron Logan made. I want to see his phone bill showing how long that phone call was. Because Jackie, if you saw his phone bill and it said that 209 phone call was for 6 minutes or more, why would at 2:13 Ron be on the phone, but Bridge Guy has his hands in his pockets? Hi, Star Girl. Nice to see you. Hi, Shelly. Did you bring out all the crazies today? No, I did not make a restriction on my chat for only subscribers, so people who don't subscribe can bring the crazy or bring alternate opinions. Hopefully people are being nice to each other. Hi, Understand Blue. Thank you for being a member. Steve, I don't really know you, but I did see your video where you went to the Carroll County Courthouse with the tape measure. Speaking of tape measures, which I had this idea, and then somebody said, oh no, this guy Steve did it. So Steve took a tape measure and went to like the side door of the Carroll County Courthouse, because we had seen video footage of Rick walking in, and Steve like took his tape measure up to that same like point of the stonework or whatever. And Steve, didn't you say Rick, it came up to about 5'3" or 5'4"? Let me sit up here. So I'm just looking for some final comments here. This account, a random comment. Has anyone been on the bridge in February, and can you see fish from the bridge in February? Probably can in summer months, but in February, anyone? Just curious. It isn't a crime to look at fish. I agree. So this woman, I don't want to say people's names, but the woman who was there with her friend around 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock on the bridge, in one of her videos, or sorry, one of her photos from the bridge, you can see the creek and it's very muddy. So it snowed around February 8th and 9th, and it melted, which would have made the creek kind of muddy. So on February 13th, the day of the murders, you could not see fish. However, the day after, in the helicopter footage, there are some like waves in the creek, and some people have said that those are large fish. So it could have been possible that he did see fish on the surface. So Rick could have seen fish on the surface. However, if he's going to the bridge to look at fish and he came the long way by Mears, Why would he not park at Mears? That was around one. If that was him at 127, I don't know. I mean, 20 minutes later, witness 4 said she was the only person who parked at Mears. There was something in Rick's tip narrative that said there were vehicles parked at the trailhead, but he did not pay attention to them. I've heard varying opinions about whether the trailhead is considered Mears parking lot or the one at the start of the trail, which is the Freedom Bridge in the top left side or whatever. Like, we have 3 more minutes. We need to wrap this up. I'll highlight one more comment. I'm scrolling down to the bottom. Let's see. Oh my gosh, I'm still 30 minutes. I get agita just like ignoring hundreds of comments. So thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for my members. Thank you to the people who donated to me today. I appreciate it. Thank you for people who hate me but show up and provide alternate opinions. Jackie Johnson, thank you for sharing your alternate opinion about Ron Logan. Have a happy holiday, people, whatever you celebrate. If you don't celebrate, hopefully you enjoy not having to deal with your annoying relatives. All right, I'm supposed to pick one more thing. I'm picking a random one. Hi, Flores. Rick's wife didn't put a thing about the murders on her Facebook page. It happened almost in her backyard, but still no mention about the murders. Strange. So from when I looked at her Facebook page right on the day that Rick was arrested, it seemed like there was a gap of her last message was, I think, around Christmas 2016. I might be wrong about that. And then the next post was around June of 2017. Not saying that she deleted anything or any pictures of Rick wearing Bridge Guy's outfit. No, I'm seriously not saying that. But I would be curious to know if law enforcement was able to even try to see if Rick's wife deleted any kind of photos or posts from her Facebook page that maybe pointed towards Rick's guilt. Also, I don't think it's possible, but I would be interested to know if on Rick's wife's phone, his daughter's phone, were there pictures of Rick wearing a blue coat like Bridge Guy? Also, the same or similar jeans as Bridge Guy. I know in my first video, I said that there might be holes in the jeans of Bridge Guy. That might be due to the blurriness of the quality of the video camera. But I do think, like, on the right side of down by the knee, there's like a white area that might be faded jeans. So is there a photo of Rick with faded jeans that match Bridge Guy? And that will prove that Rick was Bridge Guy. Oh my gosh. 110 more minutes? I don't think so. Yeah, I have to do other stuff. 1 more minute, then I'm clicking end stream. I don't know what I missed here, which is probably a good thing. All right, I'm wrapping it up. It's 2 hours and 59 minutes. That's my time limit. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I appreciate all of you for joining and sharing your opinions. Who knows what's next? Yeah, so I have to stop right now. January 18th is when the Indiana Supreme Court is doing this hearing at 11 a.m. Eastern. I will be sitting here probably with that in the background, or just that is the foreground, hopefully, and me off screen. And we will talk about what happens then. Thank you. Goodbye. And that's it. Bye.